With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Last week in PRL open wheel competition, it was once again a tale of split fates for our championship leaders. Hamilton Akabueasy was back to his old dominant ways in the IRO4s of the Hungaroring, but at the Nürburgring, championship leader Andrew Waring tripped over his rival Michael Coffray, and it was Julio Palacio who picked up the pieces to take an unexpected win. This week, we split our races across the Atlantic Ocean for races at two of the most historic racetracks in the world. Welcome to round 7 of the PRL IRO 4 Series and the PRL F3 Series, coming up live from the virtual Silverstone Circuit and the virtual Long Beach Street Circuit. Hi everybody, Joey Tevin here. Justin Prince is under the weather tonight, unfortunately, so I'm once again joined by super sub Terry Radford over to that side of the screen. Producer Hugo Luis is behind the scenes. Terry, you're back. We're going to Silverstone in the UK. We're going to Long Beach in the US. It's a tale of two cities, tale of two countries.
Well, the last time Tennessee played UK, they beat the brakes off of them. I'm just kidding. The United Kingdom, not the University of Kentucky. Channeling the Bradley Holly today with the old band of Rocky Top for him. This is going to be fun. Every time I've done one of these shows, it's never disappointed. I don't think it's going to disappoint here either, as Akabueasy was fast in practice. He's fast in qualifying. That spells trouble for the competition.
There are very long straights at Silverstone, though, so hopefully that means a little bit of equalization in the field tonight. But we'll take a look at the rest of the calendar coming up here for the rest of the season. I'm cutting you off here. Silverstone is coming up right now. Couple of long straights. Imola. We go to another F1 track next week, which is a little bit tighter, a little bit twistier. Then, of course, Spa. That's one everyone's had circled as a little bit of a draft fest, potentially, with the long front straight and the long back straight as well, through Blanchiment, all that kind of thing. Then we finish it off at Suzuka. It's an F1 half of the season, Terry, and Hamilton Akabueasy told us last week that the reason he was so good at the Hungaroring is because he practiced on the F1 games. So I have a feeling he's going to be pretty happy with the rest of the season.
Yeah, it's going to hurt the competition. I mean, those F1 games, obviously very similar to what you're going to get over here. The physics are right. The track layouts are right. You kind of understand what you're doing. Silverstone's a good place for him to kickstart that. Obviously, last week he pulled some dominance, but is it impossible for him just to walk the rest of the year on us?
I mean, it is definitely possible for him to sweep it. He hasn't won every race. He did lose to Kevin Santana at Tsukuba a couple of weeks ago, so the perfect season is out of the question, but it has essentially been a perfect season. It has been a almost perfect season for Hamilton Akabueasy. He's still within touching distance of Kevin Santana. Kevin could theoretically go on a tear to the end of the season and maybe catch up to him, especially if Hamilton has some bad luck, gets taken out a couple times, but that's very much an uphill battle for Kevin Santana. Guillaume Pauvin, Philippe Magnan, and Dave Peterson, and Samuel Ma are all going to fight over third place in the championship, likely. And then David Hebert, David Cristelli, Tyler Gore, and Michael Blaze round out the current top 10 in the driver's standings in the IRO 4 Series. The team's championship, though, is a little bit more competitive because Hamilton Akabuizi does not race for a team. He races as a privateer. YS Motorsports Black, though, has turned around its season recently with the bad luck from Corey Precker kind of getting turned around. Austin Harris has been doing a good job recently as well. They've blown about 72 points ahead of Blown Tranny Racing, and then VHR Racing is in contention for second place as well. In third, YS Motorsports Gold is fourth, then Crikey Esports, White Flag Racing, Mobox, Unit Sim Sports, Vulture Motorsports, and of course private label Team Hype round out the top 10 in the IRO 4 team standings. It's about a minute left in qualifying here at Silverstone, but before we can go any further, we must thank all the people who make every single Precision Racing League broadcast possible this season and every season. Of course, the VCO, first and foremost, the virtual competition organization, helping us out here at RaceSpotTV and helping make every single Precision Racing League broadcast possible this season. This coverage is also brought to you by Advanced Sim Racing. Owned and operated by passionate sim racers, Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. All PRL members also get a 5% discount on ASR products using the Precision5 coupon code. Coverage is brought to you in part by Racebox Sim Racing as well. Racebox offers mid and high-end button boxes for sim racing enthusiasts, from the casual gamer up to the most meticulous sim racing driver. Competitively priced and carefully handcrafted, Racebox Sim Racing's button boxes are an enjoyable addition to any sim racing setup. Visit raceboxsimracing.com and get a 5% discount, also using the Precision5 coupon code. RaceLab Apps also makes this all possible. RaceLab helps you to improve your driving skills. With modern overlays, race statistics, and native VR integration, you can get the best out of iRacing. Start using it now for free at racelab.app. This coverage is also brought to you by the Butt Kicker. Butt Kicker products provide an incredible immersion and realism to every game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat with the Butt Kicker. And last but not least, Ninja Trader. Ready to compete against the financial markets? Of course you are. Supporting over 60,000 users across the globe, Ninja Trader provides award-winning trading software and brokerage services. Ninja Trader is always free to use for advanced charting, backtesting, and trade simulation. Visit ninjatrader.com to get started with a risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance. We've just finished up tracking people's performance here at Silverstone in qualifying. It has just come to an end. A few drivers still out on flying laps, though, even though the clock has ended. The number 23 of Zachary Yurt, currently doing a great job in qualifying. He's up in P3. He's got no draft help at a very long track with some long straights. But let's see, does he have any time as he brings it to the line? Not quite. Still 3/10 behind his best time. But third place, I believe, is Zachary Yurt's best result of the season. David Cristelli was on the podium at the Hungaroring last week. He's going to bring it to the line as well. Looks like no improvement for Cristelli either. I believe he might have run exactly the same lap time he did on the previous lap. He'll stay P7. Ryan Kings has big help here, Terry.
Yeah, he does have big help, but let's touch on something too. Philippe Mignon, he's not here, so that's huge in the points. But you see Ryan Kings there; he kind of washed it out a little bit there. He's still going to get a big run here. These corners are very fast. He knows he messed up that corner. He's going to come pit. That was a tough sequence of corners there for Ryan Kings.
He definitely got held up by David Hebert, who was giving him a huge draft, but it came back to bite him when he caught up just a little bit too quickly. Coming into Cops there. Michael Blaze comes to the line. He does find 4/10, so clearly there is still time on track. Unfortunately for Michael Blaze, that's only going to be one better position for him. He jumps Sean Duhamel rather, and puts it P12.
Hey, I'll take one spot. I mean, that one spot could be a big help. It's a different pit box, just one up for him. So that does make a big difference here in these cars.
Looks like the grid is set here. A few drivers still kind of crawling around the track in the pit lane, but surprise, surprise, Hamilton Akabuizi at an F1 track puts it on pole position in the IRO 4s. 0.7 of a second over Kevin Santana, who was actually quicker than Hamilton in qualifying. So we'll see if that, or in practice rather. So we'll see if that switches around once the race comes around. Zachary Yurt, his best qualifying of the season in P3, and Ryan Kings is P4. Guillaume Pauvin and Andrew Moran, both very competitive this season, will start on row 3. David Cristelli, trying to follow up on last week's podium, is 7th. He starts alongside Dave Peterson, and Mark Bruning and Austin Harris round out the top 10. Samuel Ma of Macau starts along Michael Blaze of Canada. Sean Duhamel is 13th. Ian Cabana is 14th. Ian's teammate Kevin Berquist starts behind him, and David Hebert for Blown Tranny Racing starts P16. Row 9 is Donald Olson and Brad Winter, and only a few other drivers in the field tonight. Tyler Gore is P19, and Owen McLaughlin is in the session. I'm not sure if he'll actually be competing tonight or if he will just be on admin duty, but we'll have to wait and see. A little bit of a shorter field than usual, Terry, in the IRO4s, but it's still 19 cars. It's still Silverstone. It's still going to be a pretty good show.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the corners here is going to make a big difference. Is how good you could sweep around them. It's only 16 laps. And you see the track conditions here, 70 degrees ambient, 70 degrees track temp. The wind's not going to make a difference, and the most cloudy could play into the factor we could have more grip on this racetrack. It's going to be a little weird, though, with 19 drivers out here taking the grid. The start's going to be aggressive, turn one's going to be aggressive, and you're going to have to get every spot possible in this first lap before you start spreading out.
Live pictures of the recently renamed Hamilton Straight here. Does that bode well for Hamilton Akabueasy at the track that his namesake, I think? I don't know if he was named after Lewis Hamilton. It's entirely possible based on the fact that he is a very young man, but we'll have to ask him about that after the race. It may just be a coincidence. Either way, it's a good name to have when you're racing at Silverstone. We're still waiting on him to get on the grid. We're waiting on Kevin Santana and Donald Olson too. There's only a few more moments to go, so hopefully all those drivers have gotten their comfort breaks out of the way. There goes Hamilton Akabueasy taking the pole position slot finally. Still waiting on old Kevin Santana, keeping everybody on their toes. The sun is getting ready to set at Silverstone. You saw the temperature a few seconds ago, about 70 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know what that is in Celsius. I probably should. But Terry, you're going to have about 3 seconds here until we go onto the grid.
Yeah, I mean, this is I can't wait to see this race. I'm more excited for Long Beach. No offense to this track, but Long Beach is cool.
70 degrees Fahrenheit is in fact 21 degrees Celsius. So all of you international viewers, I hope you enjoy that. But the lights are ready to go at Silverstone. We've got a British phrase ready to go here. It's lights out and away we go. Hamilton Akabueasy leads us from pole. Kevin Santana gets a solid jump from the grid as well. Zachary Yurt in the background, Ryan Kings all streaming into turn one for the first time. They're about 3 wide further back, but everybody gets through turn one cleanly except to the back. It looks like David Hebert, or actually Brad Winter and Owen McLaughlin have come together at turn one. Other than that, everybody else makes it through.
Yeah, that's a tight corner to get into, especially when you go side by side, because you instantly go into a switchback. I mean, you go from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 real quick. I mean, it's just a really quick gas brake. Like you're turning back and forth. And for Owen McLaughlin, I don't think he even turned a practice lap. He didn't qualify. He started it back there in the back. So maybe lack of practice has put him back here.
Michael Blaze around the outside at Brooklands. Couldn't quite make it work. Mark Bruning fights back on the inside. Through left field, everybody fans out a little bit. Michael Blaze going to take a little bit more of the curb than Mark Bruning. On the power up to Woodcote. A short little straight here. The pit straight, the old pit straight actually, coming into Cop Series. Going to pull closer, but he's not going to be able to move into Mark Bruning's area because Mark Bruning has the benefit of about 7 other cars in front of him.
And you see how much power Blaze actually carried into the corner. He kind of washed up. If he kept a straight arc, he was going to go right into Bruning's back bumper. But these drivers here, they're really starting to work and feel out. This is a long racetrack. I mean, you have a ton to negotiate through 1 lap around this place. So you just have to keep yourself in tune. It's a rhythm track. If you fall out of rhythm, it's gonna take about a lap to get it going.
Hamilton Akabueasy has already found the rhythm. The lap isn't even over yet, and he's pulled 1.5 seconds over Kevin Santana. I talked in the pre-race about how this is going to be a draft-heavy track. You really want to be behind the driver in front of you because there's some very, very long straights for these IRO4s. Well, Kevin Santana's got quite a bit of work to do to get back in draft range of Akabueasy. Moran and Yurt side by side. Yurt started 3rd. He's lost quite a few positions, though. He's down to 6th. Andrew Moran hangs on to P5 through club, back on the Hamilton straight once more, and that's 1 lap at Silverstone in the books.
A long lap. I mean, it's a 2-minute lap around here, so you got to think about 38 minutes will go on this racetrack. Obviously, with pit stop's going to come into a cycle here at some point in time. We'll probably see him pit around lap 8. As you see David here, you see the 19. He's around. That's Dumel. He's in the pit, but he actually made that. He didn't hit the wall, so he's fine. No harm, no foul on that machine.
That's a weird place for Sean Duhamel to be. I'm sure we'll get a replay on that one. David Hebert ran into some trouble as well, so I wonder if they made contact. But here comes David Cristelli to the inside of Zachary Yurt, putting Yurt 1 more spot further down. David Cristelli is up into P6 and Brooklyn's, and Mark Bruning spins in the background. I don't believe there was any contact with Michael Blaze, but these IRO4s love to spin around, especially at high-speed corners, and Mark Bruning joins the club.
He might have just carried too much speed there, but don't to Yurt here for a second. The fact that he started up P3 and he's fallen back, you just see he just got, he just got off track, and then around he goes and he takes somebody with him. But I'm surprised with the qualifying for Zachary Yurt that he has felt this far. Maybe he got a lucky qualifying spot and got a left draft, but that's tough.
Bruning did get help there. Michael Blaze definitely did put a front nose cone to the back of Bruning and turned him around there, so Bruning's not going to be too happy about that one. There may be a protest going in Michael Blaze's direction at the end of tonight. There's still 15 laps to go for Bruning to recover. Doesn't look like he got much damage from that. Cristelli and Yurt are still going at it. I think Yurt's qualifying may have come from a great draft in qualifying, and he's using the draft to his effect here in the race very, very well. Under braking into Vale, almost gets into the back of Cristelli, but he has to slot back in line. He's using these straights to his advantage, though. He seems just quick enough to stick with Cristelli.
Yeah, but you saw the switchback right there. He wasn't able to get back on the throttle as fast as Cristelli was. You kind of saw when he got in the corner, he had to back it down a little bit, burp it too much. And then when he got back on the gas, you're like, okay, can he stick it? Can he stick it? No. He had to get closer to the curb. And then it ended up pushing him further away because he chattered out just a tad bit. But you see Austin Harris right here in the YS Motorsports Black Machine. Blaze hasn't been able to get away from him. Peterson hadn't been able to get away from Blaze, but they're starting to pull away from Mod just a little bit. So this race is going to have its ebbs and flows, and this mid-pack starting to fight a whole lot.
Guillaume Pauvin trying to chase down Ryan Kings for the last spot on the podium. Not able to get close enough into Brooklands. Kevin Santana spins, though, on the exit of Brooklands. He definitely got no help there, and I think David Cristelli or some driver may have gotten into the back of Kevin Santana there. I don't think they did, but there was a huge smoke screen given up by Kevin Santana trying to recover there, and that's the second time this season he's been running second, and he spun all on his own.
Yeah, but I tell you, that was crisis averted, because you see he pulled back in front of traffic, and he actually caught it it's one of the slowest corners here at Silverstone. So that actually helped him. That was a benefit from where he actually landed when it came to his spin. He only fell back to ninth. And he's still got so much time to gain. He has 13 laps to go. There's more spinners going to happen in front of him. You talked about it off of Brooklyn. We've seen 3 people spin there already. So that there's a chance, and there's a will, there's a way that he can make up a couple seconds to jump himself back up here.
Riding on board with Dave Peterson, you can see Yurt and Cristelli ahead of him, just kind of split by the halo. Yurt was so much quicker through Maggots and Beckett's, but it just killed his run. He caught Yurt a little bit too early, wasn't actually able to make the move, and now he's very much under pressure from Dave Peterson. Looks like Ryan King's made a mistake as well. Guillaume Pauvin's up to second. It's early on in the race. It's cold track temperatures, 21 degrees Celsius, 70 degrees Fahrenheit. A lot of drivers are struggling with Silverstone early on.
Well, and we talked about it when we pulled the race statistics up. As you look here at the 13 going around, he just got completely off. We talked about it with the track temp. I mean, there's a lot of grip, and you're testing it to its limits with the cold track temp. These tires, you talked about them being aggressive, and Santana gets to the back bumper of the 19 there, and that's
was
wheel
Michael
damage.
Blaze again getting into the back of another driver. Michael Blaze is not going to be the most popular driver on the grid after tonight. That's 2 drivers who he's kind of piled into, and that's 3 with Kevin Santana getting in on the scene as well. He had nowhere to go.
Yeah, but think about that with Santana. He was in the points battle. Like, he had a chance at a Kabaweezy. And if he would have stayed second, maybe jumped to Kabaweezy in the pit sequence, we're having a different conversation next week. Like, we're not having the conversation of how far can a Kabaweezy move. We're talking, okay, can Kevin Santana make the move? And now he's on pit lane with wheel damage, potentially not coming back out this race.
A little bit of a hornet's nest back here between Ian Cabana, Tyler Gore, Kevin Berquist, and even Donald Olson up ahead. There is entirely a possibility of going 3 wide into Copse coming up here, but everybody thinks better of that. Smart driver is Tyler Gore. That's a grammatically correct sentence. They're all going to single file things back out as they go through Maggots and Beckett's, but there are little packs of battles everywhere along this track. Hamilton Akabueezy might get to ride off into the sunset. He's got about 5 seconds ahead of Guillaume Pauvin, but basically nothing else on this track is decided.
it's another thing we discussed in the pre-race is that you're going to see this all race long. The draft is going to keep people together. It's going to keep like a small micro pack within the mega pack of this field. Now, granted, I think the pit stops are going to absolutely, they're going to take this field and just spread it across the board, as you see.
Andrew Moran and Ryan Kings.
And that was hard contact there. It looked like they both got penalties.
See what happened under braking. Moran couldn't get it stopped. Sebastian Vettel style. And no driver has worse luck. Well, I guess I can't say that. There is Mark Kalin, but Ryan Kings and Mark Kalin have both had similar seasons across the PRL. They both race in multiple PRL series, and in seemingly every single one of them, they keep getting taken out by other people's mistakes or making their own mistakes themselves, and they can't seem to catch a break.
And I'm not too sure if Kings got a penalty or if he was just showing his displeasure and just stopped right in front just to make sure, hey, I'm going to get back on this racetrack first. You kind of cost me a spot here, and he jumped. I mean, he jumped the braking zone. Like, he went to drive it in deeper, caught the brakes late, hopped that front tire, and it just moved the balance of the car just a little different to the right, took him with him. And luckily for them, it was minimal damage, and that's going to allow the Kings to continue on. As oh no, Blaze goes around, and that's hard. No.
I don't think we can put that contact on Michael Blaze right there. I think that might have been Tyler Gore taking a little bit too much speed through Luffield there. We'll have to check a replay from a different angle. Here is what happened to Michael Blaze through Brooklands. A lot of drivers have done that. He finally spins himself out. He's going to rejoin here. The question is, did he give Tyler Gore enough room?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he definitely did.
Yeah, he gave plenty of room to get back on the... I mean, for him to get back on the racetrack right where he did, he had plenty of space to miss that incident. But unfortunately, it's contact that's made, and now for Blaze, he's no doubt pit road, get some damage fixed, and it's going to be a long race for them.
And Michael Blaze might be the happiest driver on track right now, because the fact that he's out of the race early means he gets to leave Britain early. He doesn't have to stay here anymore.
It's always good. That's always a positive. I mean, we can hindsight, we can kind of see that there. I want to go to the UK. I think it'd be fun.
Andrew Moran has just come down pit road. He is not getting out of the UK, but he is parking himself in the UK for a moment. It's still early days for pit strategy to start kicking off. It's only lap 6. Normally we see drivers go kind of all the way to the end, to the hard limit of the fuel tank, which is usually only with about 3 or 4 laps to go in this series. But Andrew Moran's trying something different. Maybe he has a little bit of damage he wants to get fixed.
I mean, you don't just want to follow the leader all race long. I mean, you see drivers making mistakes in Brooklyn. I mean, that corner itself is, the Ford goes around.
And that wipes out all 3 of them. Donald Olson, Ian Cabana, and Tyler Gore all together. They're all somehow still rolling after wheel-to-wheel contact. But that was a strange dive from Donald Olson. I think I'll say that much. We'll have to look at another angle of it to see if Ian Cabana turned in on him. He might have, but I don't think Donald was entirely there in the first place.
No, and Gore caught the worst end of that. Unfortunately, you kind of see the little bit of wheel damage there. They're still moving, but that was just an awkward wreck. I mean, you see here they go into the corner, and you should have gave him more room there. You're the one that kind of put yourself in that position. You backed the corner up worse than you should have. You had a terrible angle going in there, and you just sailed it in knowing that you had a driver to your outside that was about an inch from being clear.
Ryan Kings is not giving up, though. He's closed up to the back of Samuel Ma again, so whatever damage he had on that car is not too bad. That's kind of ironic, considering when we saw a similar thing happen at Silverstone in F1 a couple of years ago, when Sebastian Vettel piled into the back of Max Verstappen, it was the Red Bull in front who just got away with no damage whatsoever and continued on in the race. And in the style of Max Verstappen, there goes Ryan Kings, still continuing on his race and back up into P6. I'm sure he wishes his position was a little bit more Max Verstappen-like, but he's got 5 more spots to go to get up there.
Well, I mean, you see his speed across the board. He's faster than some of the drivers in front of him. Now, his last lap, he was also in a little traffic. He had Ma right in front of him. He also didn't have very much draft. So, I mean, everybody else that's ahead of him at this moment, Peterson, Cristelli, and Povan, they have draft. They have that 3-car train that's going to do it. I mean, it was a 204 flat there for Ryan Kings. He's shown that he has the pace. It's just a matter of can he jump at the pit stops to make it work. I mean, he's got 9 seconds he has to do.
Zachary Yurt on Dave Peterson. That's interesting. That kind of looked like Zachary Yurt backed out of that move. He didn't actually want to make the move on Dave Peterson coming under braking into Brooklands there. He definitely had the draft. He definitely had a run. He might not even need to make the move, but Dave Peterson's able to save that. Yurt gets out of the back of him. He's still not able to make the move because he gave Dave Peterson such a kind berth there as he was recovering from that half spin.
I think he also realized that that's been the trouble spot this entire race, that if you make the move there, your likelihood of coming out of that move is going to be very minimal. But he made the move there. Dave Peterson starting to struggle a little bit under braking. You've seen him lock tires up before in this race. That's the second time I've seen it across the board. And now he's starting to fall off here as you get to these heavier braking zones of the rights and lefts through the second sector of this racetrack. So definitely not the speed he had early on in this race by no means.
Zachary Yurt quite a bit worse through Beckett's than Peterson there, but interestingly, Dave doesn't really follow into the draft of Yurt. It's not like he's interested in making this move immediately. He's not going for the 100% opportunity in terms of closing things down. He just kind of backed out in the straight. He ran his own line. He's not going to come down pit lane this time either. I'm not entirely sure what Dave Peterson's strategy is here.
Just ride. That's all my strategy would be. I mean, you have to think across the board, how many drivers have we seen spin in Brooklyn? How many drivers have we seen spin and get collected in a multiple car incident so far in this race? I mean, we're 8 laps in, and we've seen right now we have 3 drivers that's either on pit lane or a lap down. You got Kevin Santana that's been on pit road for multiple damage repairs. Brad Winter, Dumel, all these drivers are in some type of trouble across the platform that we've seen. Well, why not just sit here and ride and think that, okay, maybe we'll see some incidents in the early part of this run with the drivers up at the top.
I should have had some more British music references lined up because we're going to need a little bit of musical flair here tonight. But I got nothing in the tank right now. I'm trying to think. There's nobody named Peterson in the music industry, as far as I know. I'm just thinking ELO. I got nothing else.
I mean, I had a country music reference, but I'm not too sure how that fits with this.
British country.
I had a George Strait reference. You said that a Cowboy was going to ride into the sunset, and I was thinking that this is when the cowboy rides away. But I'm not too sure if a Cowboy is much of a cowboy.
I mean, that might be a question I have to ask him. That's going to be. I'm saving that one. I'm writing that one down. That's going to be asked to him straight. Hamilton, are you a cowboy?
I mean, hopefully he knows how to rope and ride, and just a little something. Just kind of throw it out there, a little Toby Keith reference in that.
Nah, you ruined it with Toby Keith. You ruined it.
Well, how do you like me now?
I was going to say that Hamilton he was rope-a-doping or whatever you said up front. He's just been running his own race, basically. He's pulled 7 seconds now over Guillaume Pauvin, and this has been the tale of the season. Hamilton was very, very curt last week in his interview. He said, I kind of expected some of the people behind me to spin out. I kind of expected not to have too much difficulty. I guess that's just a sign of confidence, and that's exactly what you need. If you're dominating this series, I sure hope you're confident in your abilities.
Well, I guess we could throw the best musical reference, Kid Rock. They say it's cocky, and he said, what? It's not bragging if you back it up. I mean, if you can go out here and do what Akabawizi's done all season long, and I think what's his worst finish, 4th or 3rd?
I think it's 2nd.
Oh, sorry, 2nd. Shame on you, Akabawizi, for finishing 2nd. At any point in time in the season, shame on you. I would love to have this man's statistics in a B Open or a C Open. Just the numbers he's putting up is just incredible. I mean, he's best or worst finish is 2nd, best finish is 1st. Man's almost batting 9.99 at the moment. He's doing what he has to do. I mean, right now he's doing what the Astros did last night. He's pitching a no-no.
And this is round number 7 of the series, so that's a fitting. Oh, Ryan Kings has gone around again. I think that's at Beckett's. It looks like it's probably all on his lonesome. He's trying to wait to rejoin. But Ryan Kings' day gets even worse. He's falling out of the top 10. He's finally rejoined. It was not at Beckett's. It was once again at Brooklands. It strikes again, and he overcorrects.
That's a fast corner. I mean, you talked about it too. The fast corners with the sun going down, with the track temp being low. You're going to sail that thing in there, hoping to make every little bit count. And he did. We've seen multiple drivers do it so far. Another one bites the dust.
There we go. We finally got a legitimate British music reference.
I forgot Queen.
I'm
How
happy
did we
now.
forget Queen?
I mean, I was trying not to do the obvious, you know, Queen, the Beatles,
I
the
don't
Who.
like the Beatles.
Like those are obvious.
See, I don't like the Beatles. I think they're overrated.
My favorite British music artist is a guy named Just Jack. He had a hit about 15 years ago. It was called Stars in Their Eyes. He's got great music, so I'm going to give him a shout out, but Dave Peterson might have stars in his eye. No, he doesn't. He hasn't gotten hit. I need a driver who's actually gotten damage in this race. They've probably got stars in their eyes.
The people who did What Does the Fox Say, they're British, right?
They're Norwegian. That's Ylvis.
Norwegian, that's right. Okay.
Norwegian.
Yeah, whatever.
I'll save those references because the season finale for the GT3 series in the PRL, that'll actually be at Rudskogen in Norway. So tune in on Tuesday nights. We'll have all sorts of Ylvis references for you. The pit cycle's actually kicking off now, finally, in about lap number 10 here. In these IRO4s, in this IRO4 series, the races are so short that they've had to mandate a smaller fuel tank. So pit stops are forced. There will be no tire changes, though. The tires are simply too hard and too durable to really wear in any sort of meaningful way over the course of a 16-lap race. So you won't see any tire changes, but you will see everybody come down pit road here, or pit lane, rather, since we're in the UK, because they all need to put a little bit of extra fuel in this tank.
Yeah, I was trying to Google good UK music. I didn't get anything good, but yeah, I mean,
Kentucky music.
yeah, it's crap. It is, but you see right here, Povan still having a good battle here for second. This is the best battle on the racetrack across the board, and these two have not let up off of each other for the whole stake of this race.
How could I forget about the 1975? Of course, that's a modern British pop band. So there you go. There's a bunch of references I can make over the course of the rest of tonight. David Cristelli behind. He's probably thinking, you know, I'm going to give myself a try here. I'm going to try and dive to the inside of Guillaume Povan. He doesn't give himself a try, though. He's going to hang back coming into Stowe and go for a little bit of a switchback here. Is this the lap that he finally decides to come down pit lane? No, he's going to keep extending this. The pit cycle is going to get shorter and shorter with every lap. They're going to have to come down eventually, but they are extending this for as long as humanly possible.
I like how he tried to outbrake right there. Like he kind of scared a little bit. Like Povan was starting to get on the brake, trying to slow down, and then David gets right up on the back bumper of him, and it kind of made him think just a little bit. And then he ended up checking himself up quite a bit to kind of play mind games. But I would expect these two to pit together. I don't even think we should count a Kabaweezy in this discussion of when he pits, because I don't think it matters. You're not going to jump 8 seconds on him, almost 9 seconds. So whatever he wants to come in, you know, you just kind of put the crown on him now. Not saying hand him the trophy yet, because you know we've seen a couple spots across this track that has been a little difficult for him or for other drivers. We'll see if it plays into his factor when he starts catching lap traffic.
Ryan Kings has said in our chat that he had a brake pedal failure, apparently, and that's what caused his spin at Brooklands. And of course, he had damage before from getting pounded in the back by Andrew Moran a little bit earlier. So I don't know if it was brake pedal failure that caused the spin or if it was the damage, but Ryan Kings, I'm sure, is more aware of that than we are. And he also says he's cursed in the IRO4s, and that may be true. Like I said, Ryan Kings has had a bad luck streak. Mark Kalin has had a terrible luck streak. There's always a couple of drivers that the PRL gods kind of pick before the season, and I think Ryan Kings is looking forward to 2023.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of drivers that we talk about throughout the season that's looking forward to the new season starting in 2023. Like I'm almost positive that there's a group of them that we could pick out over the 5 nights a week that, well, at least 2 of them or 1 of them that I'm with you, sometimes 3, sometimes 1, but man, I mean, that stinks for Kings. As you see here with Moran and Bergquist having a good battle here for this. Actually, sorry, that's Ma. That's Ma and Moran having a battle here for the 7th and 8th place position.
Yeah, Terry is sorry for confusing Samuel Ma and Kevin Bergquist. He has told me to say this statement: Ma bad.
Yeah, my bad.
There we go.
Shame on you.
Finally broke it out. I've been waiting to use more references to Samuel Ma because he is a very interesting driver on this grid. He hails from Macau, a country, of course, with great racing heritage in the Macau street circuit. Bathurst earlier this season was honestly pretty similar to Macau. He did pretty well there. But how crazy would that be if we had Macau on iRacing? We could talk about our racetrack wish lists on iRacing all day, but Macau's definitely up there for Samuel Ma because it's his home track, and it's up there for me too.
I couldn't even yet to begin. I want to see Pikes Peak on the server. Then again, I enjoyed Colorado, and I thought Pikes Peak was a good track back in the early NASCAR days. But I'm sure most people who watch PRL know that normally I do the NASCAR side of things. I'm working my way into this open wheel stuff because this has probably been one of the cooler series that I've gotten to sit down and study just a little bit. Because I mean, you see the open wheel drivers, the pageantry that comes with a lot of these racetracks, and the historic nature that these places hold. I mean, where was it? We went and did a race, and it was super fun to think that maybe we could like potentially get. I can't even think of the damn track name. It was 2-3 weeks ago.
You're gonna have to be a little bit more specific than that track we went to and we had a lot of fun, because that seems to be most of them.
Yeah, I can't remember what the track was. It wasn't Bathurst. Yeah, it was Bathurst.
I don't think it was Bathurst. I think Justin was here for that, but you were here for.
I'm almost positive it was me.
I'm losing track of the calendar. I'll check it after this. But Hamilton Akabuizi is in. The pit cycle has reached its natural conclusion. Everybody has reached the hard end of the fuel tank. They're all reading less than 1 lap to go. Akabuizi's in, Povan's in, Cristelli's in, Yurt's in. I'm sure Peterson and Bergquist will be in as well. And the natural order things will be reset for about 3.5 more laps to go to the finish.
I think I was here for Bathurst. I think that is the race I'm talking about. We talked about the history of the racetrack and how cool everything is around it. I don't know. This open wheel stuff seems like a good place and a good fit to learn if you just want to be a historic person when it comes into learning about motorsports. As you see, actually, Cristelli passed Povan there on the pit cycle.
He did. He's jumped him. There's about 4 tenths between the two. So now Guillaume Povan has some work to do. He is close to Cristelli, though, so they can have a nice little battle. This is what happened to Samuel Ma and Mark Bruning. Bruning in the inside. Ma probably not giving him enough room there. And again, they've come to blows, and Mark Bruning took the worst brunt of that.
I mean, with 3 to go, I wouldn't necessarily say give a ton of room, but I mean, that was no room. That was coming in the corner hoping that you weren't going to go off track there and jump over those the rumble strips across there. But up here with Povan and Cristelli, I think Povan was faster across the board. I think he had an opportunity, and he does have an opportunity to get around Cristelli. As you see Olsen here trying to make this pass with Tyler Gore. Yeah, Tyler Gore.
Yeah. I'd be a little bit concerned if I was racing with Donald Olsen through that corner, because we saw what happened between him and Ian Cabana a little bit earlier, but there's no worries when you're Donald Olsen. He's usually a pretty respectful driver. There are worries for Samuel Ma. Andrew Moran, I think, also has some damage. He's back on pit lane. I think there may have been contact between those two. I'm not sure. No, there wasn't. At Luffield, there it goes again. IR04 moment, and Andrew Moran completely separately, all on his lonesome, does exactly the same thing, I think. Yep, there he goes.
High speeds, low track temp. You're going to get it as you see the battle here. Here we go. I mean, there's Cristelli and Povan going at it again. That time, I think Povan, he tried to take the wider side of the racetrack, trying to sweep back, maybe get the undercut and hit the switchback on him, but he couldn't do it. And that actually lost some track position here for him. He lost some time to Cristelli through these corners.
He's very, very close to him, though. Through Abbey, it's going to be difficult to dive it into turn 1, but Povan is going to make it side by side. He's not going to be able to stick a nose in, though. Going to have to wait a little bit longer. Up through Farm, under braking into Village. There is a lapped car up ahead. That is David A. Bear, who has gone 1 lap down, so I don't think they'll have to worry too much about him. Guillaume Povan is all over the back of David Cristelli here. On the throttle, a little bit better was Povan. Onto the Wellington straight. He's definitely got enough time, but does he dare dive it into Brooklands?
With the way we've seen it so far here this afternoon, no. I'm not diving in there, especially with the fact that we've seen drivers get pinched through the entirety of this race, nobody's really given room. You take these corners just as early as possible, and you also sweep them down to the corner, and you want to pinch as much as possible. I'm not taking this move maybe into the last lap just in case you get a bonsai move across the board, but I mean, you got 2 seconds back to Yurt. You don't want to make this move that early.
That was David Hebert getting out of the way, letting these two go by nice and cleanly. I think he kind of checked up Zachary Yurt in the process of doing that, though, but Cristelli and Povant are very, very thankful. Through Maggots and Beckett's and Chapel, the highest speed, highest commitment section of the track. It's always difficult to find the rhythm through here. Both of them do a pretty similar job through there. Now we get to the exit. No DRS in these IRO4s. They don't really need them on these long straights. Cristelli goes a little bit snake mode, swerves to the right, swerves to the left. Povant's going to close it down. He's not going to close it down enough. He's not able to get to the inside into Stowe. He's going to run a little bit tighter of a line this time instead of trying to go around the outside. And this is his best chance yet to dive it to the inside. Cristelli's going to leave the door open. Here comes Povant to the inside. But Cristelli's going to hang on. A little bit more speed. Povant switches it back. Cristelli still hangs on.
Yeah, to quote the great Weird Al Yankovic, well, hold on now, baby. I'm not ready for that kind of commitment. He's going to be committed here. He's got the run down the straights, but he's not going to be able to make it in the corner. He tried to outbrake him just a little bit, maybe go a little deeper, hoping that he maybe overshot the corner, but he wasn't successful. We'll kind of see what 2 laps to go. Can Cristelli hold Povant off here?
If somebody asked me to join the Columbia Record Club, I wouldn't be ready for that kind of commitment either, so I kind of understand.
At least you understood the reference.
I saw Weird Al last Wednesday night. Of course, I understood the reference.
I know. The people I work with, they're younger kids. Oh, no, what happened? Cristelli hit the grass.
David Cristelli did. I think there was some sort of equipment failure there because David Cristelli has parked it on the side of the track. Guillaume Povant has just earned a free second place from that. I don't know what just happened to David Cristelli. That was an absolute mystery.
He might have got a one-class world train ticket to Albuquerque.
I mean, that's entirely possible. He could have gotten shipped off. Let's see what happened to David Cristelli on the back straight.
Yeah,
that steering wheel said, you know what, David? How about we steer you into the wall? You're not going straight anymore.
Yeah. Hey, hold my beer. Wall he goes. Well, I mean, that opened up the door. I mean, Zachary Yurt is not too far back. I mean, he's about 1.2 seconds off of Povant. If Povant makes a mistake anywhere on this racetrack, he's right there to capitalize. But I don't see Povant making a mistake. He's been just very comfortable there in the P2 position. I'm sure he wants to see a Kabawizi make a mistake, but so far that hadn't been the case for anybody.
And Kabawizi is about to take the white flag. It's going to be one more lap to go at Silverstone. This race has absolutely flown by, and I'm sure it's probably flown by for Kabawizi as well. He's been kind of doing a Silverstone track day all on his lonesome up front, and he will take 1 lap to go. He's got a 9-second lead over Guillaume Povant. He can take it very easy, in fact. He doesn't need to do anything crazy at all, just needs to make sure he doesn't spin, and he's got his 6th win in 7 races.
Well, at least he hadn't had to show his polka face yet. The rest of the field might, but not him. But the battle right here for that 2nd place position, and it's actually closed up a little bit there. I'm not too sure what Yurt's done all race, but he's found some pace here in these final 2 laps. And
I've been kind of dissing Yurt all race long. I was saying, he qualified 3rd, he fell down the order a little bit, but you know what he's done that a lot of other drivers haven't? He's kept it on the road. He hasn't spun, and if he can master this 2nd sector, he definitely has a shot at 2nd.
Yeah, I mean, I looked over for just a split second. It was about a second back behind him. And then out of nowhere, I look up and I start seeing that time delta start to close a little bit. And it's like, whoa, where did he find this pace from? But he actually put his best lap down not too long ago. So, I mean, he ran a 2:01. He was about 0.6 off of what our race leader was doing. And he was about 0.3 faster here than Povant. This is impressive. This is a very good run.
It's a little bit out of the real draft range here. There's about 0.7 between them two going down the old pit straight for the final time. It's a great run through Copse, though, for Zachary Yurt. If he can nail Maggots and Beckett's this time, he will have a great chance at Guillaume Povant. Let's watch him through Maggots and Beckett's here. Povan just running his own line, not doing anything too crazy, and it is in fact working for him. We did just get a message in the chat that David Cristelli's headset went black, so that's probably why he had his little incident. So bad luck for Cristelli. Just like in real life, there are mechanical failures in sim racing. Hamilton Akabuizi has had nothing of the sort, though. You think it's probably a good luck charm to be named Hamilton to be racing at Silverstone? Hamilton Akabuizi is certainly living up to that pedigree. Through the final corner, he's got a 9-second lead. Hamilton Akabuizi wins for the 6th time in the PRL. Guillaume Povan looks like he will hang on to 2nd place. And Zachary Yurt qualified 3rd, finished 3rd. Wasn't quite a straight line to get there, but that doesn't matter. It's all about the destination.
Yeah, we wasn't too sure in the early section of this race what we were going to see at a Yurt there. Kind of fell back. I think he fell back to 7th at one point in time. And we were just sitting here going, man, maybe you just caught a lucky draft, but he found pace when he needed to find pace. Obviously, some drivers had some issues in this race, but he still found a way to do it. As you see Donald Olson right here, finishing up. I believe he's sitting in the 9th place position right now. Tyler Gore right up in front of him.
There's been a little bit of field spread over the course of tonight, so it'll take a little while for everybody to get their way around to make it to the line. Donald Olson, like you said, will get a top 10 for his efforts. He had a few argy-bargy instances. This is a battle for P12. Kevin Santana still trying to make up every single spot he can. Santana, Cabana, na. Here comes Kevin Santana to the inside under braking. Fairly easy move. I'm sure he's wishing that his position was about 10 spots higher than it is, but Santana kept it in there. A recovery drive to P12 goes to Kevin Santana. Cabana is 13th, and now we just wait for Brad Winter a little bit further back. He's got the track all to his lonesome, and he's also done the most important thing. He hasn't crashed. Although he did at turn 1 with Owen McLaughlin, but that's beside the point.
Good spot to get your own little TV time with half the track to go. Just out here just riding along, man. This is about where I would finish, so I can't say anything. You probably be, oh, there's Terry around again, just wrecking up a storm. But good 14th place finish right here for him.
We'll get you signed up for the IRO4s next season, Terry. We'll do that. What's your road iRating?
Rookie.
Okay, so I think you can sign up because I think there's going to be an iRating cap in the IRO4s next season. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. But Hamilton Akabuizi was your victor tonight. Guillaume Povan, another podium for him. And Zachary Yurt, his first podium of the season and probably his best race of the season. Dave Peterson, Austin Harris, Mark Bruning, Kevin Berquist, Tyler Gore, Donald Olson, and Samuel Ma rounded out the top 10 in the field. Sean Duhamel, Kevin Santana, Ian Cabana, and Brad Winter were the last drivers to finish on the lead lap. David Hebert went 1 lap down. David Cristelli had a hardware failure with 2 laps to go, running in 2nd. Andrew Moran and Ryan Kings both ended up running into each other, or I should say Moran ran into Kings, rather. Michael Blaze hit a bunch of people and went 12 laps down, and Owen McLaughlin barely made it 1 corner in the race, and then I believe went on to admin duties. But it is time, as usual, to talk to our victor, Hamilton Akabuizi. It's kind of a routine at this point. You won again. How'd you do it?
Honestly, I just felt pretty good at the track. It doesn't feel that great to drive in this car, but it's fun. It's a fun car always, so yeah.
So do you think it was a good luck charm coming into this race? Your name is Hamilton, the Hamilton Straight, all Lewis Hamilton's accomplishments at this track. You think that's the reason you won tonight?
Certainly good luck. Lewis is great driver. He's cool. And I mean, yeah, he's awesome. Cool to be here. Sure. Cool
to be here indeed. Terry, you had a question during the broadcast for Hamilton. I don't even remember what it was. Do you?
Yeah. Well, are you a cowboy? Did you just ride off into the sunset?
My dad told me to prepare for that one.
I like it. Thanks, Dad.
Shout out Kamau.
Yeah, it was great. I'm surprised. Well, not really surprised, but there's a lot of spins, and I actually made a mistake of taking tires because I just wasn't paying attention, so that lost me a bit.
So none of your competitors seem to want to talk to us every week, so I'm going to extend this a little bit. You're getting more than the usual 3 questions.
Okay.
what is next season going to be for you? Because we know you're dunking on the IRO4 series this season. Are you going to the F3s next season, the PRL? What's going on in the first season of 2023?
Definitely doing the F3s, even though I love the F4 car, so I have to buy the F3 car, and then I'll also do the NASCAR Cup Series because I'm pretty good on ovals.
Yeah, we're always biased towards drivers who kind of spread their efforts a little bit across multiple series. So we wish you good luck in all your endeavors next season. But this season isn't over yet. Still 3 weeks to go. And I'm sure we'll talk to you again next week.
Thank you. Add an IndyCar series. I'll do that.
Oh, Hamilton Akabuizi is my new favorite driver. That is a good thing to say. He's also victorious this evening.
To suck up.
I mean, yeah, Hamilton Akabuizi, he will be competing, or at least he'll be attempting to qualify for the Open Wheels 500, which will be here on RaceSpotTV. You can see all the coverage of that coming up in a couple weeks, and you'll see if Hamilton Akabuizi can live up to his IRO4 prowess on the big oval at Indianapolis. But next week, he's got smaller things to take care of. He'll be racing the IRO4 at the Autodromo Enzo Edino Ferrari in Emilia-Romagna in Italy, or as you and I know it, Imola, a tight and twisty F1 track. Always happy to go back to Imola, and we'll see if anybody can take down Hamilton again that week.
Well, if I'm here next week calling this race, I won't say that name because I'm sure I would get told to exit stage left.
You can say Enzo Ferrari. I believe in you.
Yeah, I would get told to leave and never come back to open wheel again.
I hope you people at home don't leave and never come back to open wheel again, because we got more open wheel coverage coming at you right now. It's not just Silverstone. We are going to Long Beach in the Formula 3 series. If you cannot hear the smile on my face, I don't know what more I need to do. I say all the time that blank is my favorite track in the US. I've said it about Mid-Ohio, about Watkins Glen, about Road America. But I think Long Beach might actually be the one.
I'm not going to lie to you. This is my favorite road course on iRacing in the world, period. I have never missed an IndyCar race watch here. I'm begging for NASCAR to come here. I think this is a great venue here in California. I think across the board, if you look at a technical tight road course and you think of the skill it takes to drive this track, forget Chicago. Forget the streets of Chicago. Put the NASCAR Cup Series here.
And next week in the F3 series, as we take a look at the schedule, we'll be going to Chicago. Oh, no, I'm just kidding. We're going to Interlagos instead. We did go to Interlagos a little bit earlier. Terry, you were with me when we went there in the IRO4, so it'll be F3 time that time. That should be a pretty good race. I hope it is a good race, because the week after that, we go to Circuit Zolder, which is not even worth talking about. That is my least favorite track in the world, I think. And we end it all at Barcelona, a track that isn't always famous for being great for passing, but it is always a good show in smaller cars like the F3s, and I think it should be a pretty good location to end this season at.
I'm just so excited for Long Beach. I was kind of hoping.
I agree. I don't want to talk about any other tracks. I just want to talk about Long Beach.
Yeah, I could care less about anything else. Interlagos is going to be cool. I love this track. I actually did not know I was going to be on this show. So fans at home, if you think, okay, why is he so excited? Because when we pulled up this schedule, when I came and I did, I think it was CODA. When I came here, or one of these races I've called a ton of races across the board here so far this season. And I saw Long Beach. All I kept saying to myself is how much I wanted to be here for this race. Luck have it. Here I sit and I get to call it. I turn laps in a what's F1 car around here, and holy mess, it's absolutely incredible. The Indy cars are just a blast around this circuit.
You know who else is absolutely incredible? Andrew Waring. He has dominated this season, just like Hamilton Akabuizi, but also just like Hamilton Akabuizi, he has been defeated. Last week, like I mentioned at the head of the broadcast, he kind of wiped out Michael Coffray at the Nürburgring, and Julio Palacio came through to win that one. And he also had a little bit of a poopy day at Zandvoort, where Cody Grams came through to win, but he is still very much in control of the championship, 42 points ahead of Alex Fournier. Kevin Sandiego is also in the fight for second place, as is Andrew Waring's teammate Ozzie Milwain. Michael Coffray is fifth, Joey Haynes is sixth, Last week's winner, Julio Palacio, is 1 point ahead of Mr. Sneaky Takeshi Kita. The mighty Quinn, John Quinn, has turned it up in the last couple weeks. He's P9. And Cody Grams is kind of on a partial season, so he's a little bit lower than he should be in P10. There's also team standings. There's not only driver standings. We are not an individualist series, but Evolve SimSport have made themselves pretty individual at the head of the sheets. When you've got Andrew Waring, Ozzy Milwane, and Joey Haynes with you, that's pretty tough to beat. Dark Horse Esports with Kevin San Diego and the rest of the gang are second, though, in a battle with Unit Sim Sports and Atomic Racing and Evolve SimSport Apollo. They're all separated by less than 30 points. Wave Italy Racing Team with Co-Phrase, Speedworks Esport Racing Team Esport. That's somewhat redundant. Noxie Motorsports, our favorite team, Monkey Butt Rides, MRT, and TML Motorsports round out the top 10 in the team standings. It's time to go qualifying, Terry. There's a few minutes left on the clock. More than a few minutes, actually. 12 minutes. And I'm very happy about that, because that means we get to call more qualifying at Long Beach.
There's a lot that goes into a lap here. So obviously, like I said, I'm not the road guy here. This is yours. But you see how tight these corners are, and then you see this hairpin. Oh, look how hard he had to get on the gas or on the brake there, and then get it back straight. So I mean, these cars are going to be a little bit more challenging to get around here than your normal Indy car. But the speeds they're going to carry into turn one, a lot of cut left and right, and not a whole lot of track. That's going to be a part of this when they start getting into these corners. Just to see here, there is no room to go side by side here at Long Beach.
Yeah, we don't often go to street circuits in this series, but when we do, I'm always very, very happy. Because
they picked a good one.
Yeah, they picked a very, very good one, and there is no runoff. The runoff is the wall. If you hit the wall, you are well and truly out of this race. So we might see a little bit more attrition than we normally do. Well, that's par for the course at a street circuit. We just saw Cody Grams go up to pole, by the way, so he is living up to the expectations he set at Zandvoort. Still a partial season for him, but he's still fighting for every race he can get. Michael Coffray still fighting the car down into turn 5. This has been a good lap for Coffray. He did make a little bit of contact with the wall a little bit earlier, though, so I'm not entirely sure if it's going to count, but he's not giving up.
Yeah, I'm not too sure how hard he hit that wall because he really didn't scrub speed. I was sitting here looking at his steering wheel, kind of seeing if maybe he had to drop it down a gear, but he didn't. But he caught the wall right here off this corner. He caught the Acura sign off to the wall, and yeah, he's going to park it on pit road. I think he knows that his lap was pretty much over. But you think about the historic races that get run here, right? You think about turn 1, lap 1, when IndyCar came here. You saw a couple drivers get wrecked. I think it was Alexander Rossi hit the brakes too hard, locked him up going into the corner. Everybody else, faded for dear life, as you would say. I think we're going to see that here as well. It's a big field. I mean, this is a massive field here. It's 30 drivers. If our timing is right here, 30 people trying to go into turn 1 and trying to go through some of these tight corners at a very beautiful racetrack.
Some big understeer in turn 9 for James Molaire there. He knows that he's going to ditch that lap, and he's going to go very, very wide in turn 11. That's deliberate. He's trying to build up as much speed as possible, and the exit of that very tight hairpin, just get a little bit of extra speed coming onto the shoreline drive here, coming onto the straight. He's not going to get much extra out of that, but when you're fighting with tenths, with hundredths of a second, you want to get every advantage you can get.
Yo, no, you're 1,000% correct. You have no option here. If you make a mistake, you have to capitalize on the next corner. So if you make a mistake in 1, turn 2, you have to go for it. If you make a mistake in the hairpin, you gotta go capitalize and take it somewhere else. You have to cut these corners as tight as possible. You said there's no runoff. The wall is the runoff, and you're going to smack that wall a couple times in this race. Well, and then your qualifying spot matters a ton, Joey, because if you wreck here, if you're not wrecking somewhere on these short straights, well, you see how tight these are. 2 cars go around, whole track's blocked, and then it's seconds and miles away for the field ahead of you.
Yeah, there have been a few instances in the past where there have been track blockages at Long Beach in this very series. I'm hoping it doesn't happen tonight because that's going to be disappointing for some drivers, but we'll hope so. James Molaire gets held up by one of the Unit Sim Sports drivers. Alex Fournier was trying to do the same thing Molaire did, and he completely screwed him there.
Yeah, he knew it. That stinks because that was I'm not saying that was going to be his best lap, but that damn well would have been close. He would have been just fine, especially how good he got into that hairpin. That was probably the finest we've seen so far. I mean, we have 8 minutes to go. He has time to make a lap again. It's about a minute 14 to get around here for your fast time, and about a minute 15 is kind of where you're sitting with the slow time if you're somewhere further on to the back. But man, that stinks.
Kevin Sandiego just went up to P9. I think he immediately wrecked after that, though. So he's back on pit lane, and we will wait for Kevin Sandiego to come back out because we have a Kevin Sandiego tradition that we need to get to a little bit later. We ride on board with Byron Daly right now. He's actually stolen my number for this season. I was the number 60, but now that I have vacated the PRL F3 series, Byron Daly gets to use his 60 now. He's going to bring the number 60 to the line. Let's see if he does it justice. Is he going to improve? Yes, he is by 0.2 of a second. Big jump for Byron Daly. He's going to jump all the way to P8.
You know, I knew we were close, but I didn't realize we were that close. Number 60 is my number in every league that I run in. Normally when I jump in a league, 60 is the number I go for because there's so much you could do with 60, especially NASCAR. Carl Edwards, you could switch over and do a little Mark Martin scheme with the 0 on it. There's a whole lot that's there, but you talked about the tenths that he picks up there. 0.2 was massive. You look at their timing sheet across the board. Well, he picks up another 0.2. He jumps up even higher. He goes up all the way up to P4. So there's not a whole lot of separation in between from about 4th on back. If you go 3rd on up, it's 0.2 separating Waring and Grams as well. And Waring's he was on a decent enough lap.
And this field, it's a short lap at Long Beach, so it's kind of expected, but it's also a very, very difficult track. And the whole field, you go from Cody Grams on pole back to Lucio Vargas in 28th, and they're only separated by 2 seconds across 28 cars. If you just go down to James Carter in 26th, that's only 1.6 seconds separating 26 cars. So there is just a ridiculously small margin across this entire field. You just need to find a little bit on every single lap, and you're definitely going to be improving a little bit. We ride on board with Sebastian Coffret out of the hairpin. Always critical to figure out how to let your wheel kind of get out of your hands there and let it go back to the left, because it's easy to kind of drop it and let the car get flung a little bit and lose all your momentum. Coffret had it figured out. He just didn't have the rest of the lap figured out, unfortunately, so he doesn't improve. Takeshi Kita comes to the line. Previous best lap 1:13.4. 1:13.7 is not going to be much improvement, but he's given a little bit of a free toe to some guys behind him.
Yeah, but you also have to think with that hairpin right there that you're doing that without traffic in front of you. Whenever you get traffic in front of you, that hairpin becomes a little bit more difficult because your braking zone, it goes further and further on back. So right now you're getting to attack that hairpin. You're getting to attack the rest of these corners as you see the speed he carries through that section. Once you get all 30 drivers on this race course, you're going to be braking like in a different mark. So you set a mark here on the wall or one of these signs when you're like, I'm gonna brake at the Acura sign on the right, okay, or I'm gonna brake at the Bubba's Burgers hand or walkway across the top. You think those in your head, well, then you get the drivers on here and you're like, oh, well, I'm gonna brake here, and then you're wrecking because everybody else braked a little further before you.
A little bit of understeer again in turn 9 for Takeshi Kita. He's got one of the Evolve Sim Sports drivers ahead of him, though. Might get a little bit of free draft from him. That's the number 14. Here comes Takeshi to the line again. 1:13.3, still trying to beat it, and he's actually worse on that lap. I think a little bit of understeer struck him once more. We go back to Andrew Waring. Looks a little bit quicker through turn 9. No understeer for him through the literal parking lot here. Then he rounds the hairpin, coming back to the line. This is tracking better than Takeshi's lap already. Just the difference in the lap times when they were exiting the hairpin. It's not going to improve for him, though. Still a 1:13.6. There's only 4 minutes to go for Andrew Waring to find any time that he needs.
Hey, look at that Fournier right here. So far, oh, I was about to say so far so good, and he kind of stepped that back in a little bit. That's a driver that's pushing. He's pushing harder and harder. You know, we talked about the tenths. That's going to separate this field. He locked it there. You don't want, I'm not going to say you don't want to start 6 because 6 is a good spot, but here you want to be 1st or 2nd. You want to be Coffret. You want to be Grams at this moment. I could kind of put Andrew Waring in that as well. You know, 1, 2, or 3. You want clean track ahead. You want no distractions in front of you, and having both Coffrets in front of you, that's a little worrisome as Takeshi Kita still out here trying to find more on this track.
He might do it better. Oh, not quite. Still exactly the same. We're not the best lap time trackers, are we? 'Cause Takeshi's run the same lap time every single time. We're always like, come on, Takeshi might have a couple of extra tenths here. No, it's a 1:13.7 again. That bodes well for the race, though. If Mr. Sneaky's being that consistent.
It looked really good. You see, James jumped up there tonight. It looked good there for Takeshi Kita. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you, man. We looked at the line, and he looked like he was tracking to be a little faster, but man, that was close, because the moment we looked up, it's like, he missed it. Here comes Alex again. He's on a little bit of a better lap so far. He was tracking better than when we picked him up here last time. Only by like I think it was like maybe a tenth or two, but hopefully he doesn't block it or get oversteer or maybe slide that rear end just a little bit. He'd be fine.
Fournier is in a tight battle for potentially second in the championship, but he gets very, very oversteery out of the hairpin. That's going to kill any lap time he may have found on that lap. Let's see if he improves anyway. He runs exactly the same lap time they did before, so if he didn't make that mistake, imagine the lap time that would have been for Alex Fournier. Takeshi Kita, is it going to be a 1:13.7 again? It's a 1:13.5, so Takeshi ever consistent. Unfortunately, I don't think consistency is what he wants in qualifying right now, but still, watch out for him in the race, especially if he's starting in the top 10. Andrew Waring's going to set up one or maybe two more laps with a little bit of a late apex on the hairpin. Sebastian Coffret, we've seen him have speed in this session. He's going to go a little bit wide in turn 9. He stays out of the wall, though. And a few cars behind him is Alex Fournier's championship rival, Kevin Sandiego. We've got a whole train of drivers coming through here. Sebastian Coffret rounds the final corner. It's tracking well again. Is it going to be a 1:13.7 like Takeshi Kita? It's a 1:13.0. There's that 1/10 for Sebastian Coffret. No improvement, though.
Yeah, he doesn't move, but I mean, still, he put that down. That was a better lap. I think that kind of secured himself there in the fourth place position, unless Juan Coffret goes out there and puts a little bit better lap. But not too sure I've seen Juan really go back on the racetrack ever since he put his lap down. It's kind of just relaxing on pit lane, maybe secure there. As you see Horvath trying to get up there and maybe put a little bit better time. 18th is not where you want to be here at Long Beach, but looks to be tracking a little better. He gets to the line. Yeah, 2/10. Where'd that put him?
It's going to put him ahead of Tyler Pierre Richards and Brendan Victil, so up to P16 for Nick Horvath. 2 extra spots. 42 seconds to go on the clock, so Michael Coffret should get one more lap if he wants it, but he is not going to want it. He's going to come back to pit lane. He's happy to start in the front row. His fellow Coffret, Sebastian Coffret, not happy with fourth, though. He might steal a little bit of draft. I think that's Rob Campbell up ahead of him coming to the line. Campbell's going to pull down pit lane, so Coffret's not going to get any help from him. But this does look like a pretty good lap. 1:13.0 is best. He's still 1/10 off, not able to improve. Kevin Sandiego has come back to the pits, so we won't get to talk about him. He's out of the top 10. Alex Fournier, who is Kevin Sandiego's main rival for P2 in the championship, is going to start 5 spots ahead of Kevin.
Yeah, right there for Sebastian. He actually had a lot of oversteer coming out of the final corner, going to the start-finish line. You kind of saw him slide those back tires. Couldn't get the momentum, get the forward bite to go up. And Monkey Butt out there in the chat says 14th to 10th is 0.01. That is insane. The lap times they're turning around here, it's almost identical. And the fact that drivers like Takeshi Kita, Sandiego, Milwane, we look right here with Steven Ritters, they're not far off. Like, normally when we see qualifying, Joey, we're thinking, oh man, like the leader's got like a second faster lap time. You got to go all the way back to Horvath in 16th to find a second gap in between the leader and him. So 16 drivers, theoretically, if they keep the same pace, they're there. Like one bobble, one mistake, they're in contention here for this race.
You saw Steven Ritter's spin coming to the end of his lap there. Kevin Sandiego also got into trouble. James Doherty got into trouble. But it looks like the grid is set here. Everybody is back on pit lane now. And for the second time this season, it has been a part-time season for Cody Grams, but he is on pole once more. 5,437 iRating. Doesn't mean everything, but it means something for Cody Grams right now. He's on pole alongside Michael Coffret. Andrew Waring will start P3, the championship leader, 2 spots lower than he's normally used to being in qualifying. And the second of the Coffrets, Sebastian Coffret, will start in P4. The third Coffret, not related to the other two because there is an accent on the end of his last name, starts 5th, and Alex Fournier for Unit Sim Sports starts 6th. Jake Potts, P7. Byron Daly, I believe his best qualifying of the season in P8. James Molaire puts a P9 alongside Takeshi Kita. Great qualifying for him in top 10. Kevin Sandiego will start 11th, and Ozzy Milwane will start 12th. Joey Haynes, unlucky 13th. Ryan Miles is the top Monkey Butt Rides driver in 14th. Stephen Ritter's a few spots off of his teammate in 15th, and then Horvath, Tyler Pierre Richards, and Brendan Victil bring us down to row 9. Matthew Miles, the second of the Miles, and Brad Miller are row 10. Rob Campbell is P21, and Justin Johnson does better than Jimmy Johnson at Long Beach because he actually out-qualified a couple of cars. James Doherty starts P23, and John Quinn, the mighty Quinn, is down in 24th. He'll have some work to do in the race. Richard Swindells, James Carter, Matt Brewer, and Lucio Vargas round out the 28 drivers who actually set a qualifying lap time in this race. Marc-Andre LaRouche, as usual, has not qualified, nor has Olivier Legault. Terry, 30 cars at Long Beach. We talked about how lap 1 might be a pinch point, but what are your keys to surviving Long Beach tonight?
I think you just said it. Survive Long Beach. That's the key. Just survive. You have to watch out. We're going to see 2 tracks. We just watched a race with 70-degree track temp. We watched a lot of people wreck. The problem here is there's no runoff. Stay out of the wall. Hope and pray that they don't lock it into 1. I have looked forward to this race, Joey, to watch it as a fan. I'm just lucky enough I get to be a child calling it. This is so exciting. It's Long Beach Day.
Still waiting to see the usual Unit Sim Sports contingent in the YouTube chat. We've still got Hamilton Akabuizi's family members flowing in from the last race. There's a grandmother, there's aunts and uncles and other members of the family, so the whole Akabuizi clan is still out there, but we're ready to go F3 racing.
They love to hear us. Yeah, we're a team. We're like a power couple, like Brad and Angelina, or people not divorced.
And Monkey Butt as well, always here, representing Monkey Butt Rides with Matthew Miles and Ryan Miles. But we are ready to go racing at Long Beach. 31 laps on the clock here. 40 minutes of racing. Cody Graham starts from pole, and we're green at Long Beach. It's a great start from Grahams and Coffray on the front row. Everybody else fans out 3 wide in the background. Marc-Andre LaRouche gets off at the back of the grid. Everybody channels into turn 1 right now. Andrew Waring trying to go around the outside of Michael Coffray, but that car is not going to get stopped, and Andrew Waring is off in the runoff at turn 1.
Yeah, and that's big. That's big for the early part of this. You see everybody trying to get single file out here with the water fountain. This little roundabout right here. Oh, they're stopped. Yeah, it's a roadblock already.
Cody Grahams has lost the lead, and there it is in the fountain. James Carter's going to make it through. Marc-Andre LaRouche is going to make it through. But there is one of the Monkey Butt Rides drivers, I believe, spun around at the back there. Or that was Matt Brewer, actually, I think, who was spun around in the background. James Doherty, Brendan Victil also got a little bit of a bite there. And there's Andrew Waring, I think, again. Actually, I don't think that is Andrew Waring. That's his teammate, potentially. Either way, Evolve Sim Sports have had a hellish start to this race at Long Beach, and Cody Grahams retakes the lead.
Yeah, at the early part right there in that first lap when they went down into turn 1, kind of spooked Grahams. He backed out of it a little bit, let Coffray go, maybe saved their race, understood, hey, guess what? I have an opportunity to come up here and potentially take this back when we single file out, but it's a top 4 breakaway all the way back.
Coffray.
Yeah, he's there.
Can try and go around the outside in turn 1.
Don't do it.
Side by side already. Michael Coffray retakes the lead from Cody Grahams. That was Andrew Waring, by the way, who got into another driver earlier. And Juan Coffray has gotten into the wall at turn 1. That car is absolutely destroyed. And I think Byron Daly got a bite out of him as well. He might have eaten one of the 3 or 4 tires that are off of that car. We've eliminated quite a few strong drivers already. The mighty Quinn, John Quinn, is already out, but let's see what happened to Andrew Waring first. He locks it up into turn 1, doesn't hit anything, and then I think he wrecks later on in the lap while trying to recover.
I mean, he tried his best 3-point turn, but he kind of reminded me of my wife trying to drive. It was like, I'm going to back up. Nope, just kidding.
Sebastian Coffray has gotten in the wall as well. As we look at the checkup here, there's almost too much to watch, but Sebastian Coffray has hit the wall. His suspension is bent. He's out from 3rd. Long Beach will bite anyone and anybody. And bop, hoot and boo-bay doo bop. Where in the world is Kevin Sandiego? He's up 6 spots because he stayed out of trouble.
What you got to do here? It's truly
And
the
Potts and Miles and Ritters. I got to interrupt you, Terry, because the action never stops. There's a roadblock at the chicane. Or at the hairpin, rather. Rob Campbell had to check up. Steven Ritters gets back going.
They're wrecking again.
And it's still going. Olivier Legault, Richard Swindells, Marc-Andre LaRouche, James Carter. They're all piling in.
Holy crap.
It's still not over. There's still James Carter's trying to make his own Long Beach. Steven Ritters and Rob Campbell side by side into turn 1. They get that resolved. But I think Steven Ritters just had to park it there and wait for all the calamity to end before he could get back on the track.
Remember we started with 30?
Yeah,
we got like 20.
Let's go back all the way to the beginning while we can. That's Matt Brewer getting spun around to the fountain. Everybody checks up, kind of waiting for that to resolve itself. A little bit of a Long Beach parking lot. That eventually resolves itself. Next up, I think, is Andrew Waring getting into trouble. But let's see. Yeah, there's Andrew Waring. He already looped it around at turn 3 there. There's too much going on here, Terry, and it's not giving up. James Molaire is going to challenge Fournier for 3rd now.
Well, like Tupac said, let me welcome everybody to the Wild Wild West.
Here's Waring.
There's Waring coming around.
That was his teammate that spun, and Andrew gets collected by his teammate.
Yeah, he got clipped there, and California knows how to party. And this is why we love Long Beach. This is why this is our favorite road course on this circuit, because this is fantastic. I mean, we legit started with 30 competitors.
Juan Cofre, as if it wasn't bad enough, Byron Daly comes on the scene and rips off the other half of that F3 car. I promise this is not how these races usually go, but Long Beach is a different beast, and it can certainly bite hard once things start going crazy. I'll read you down the list of drivers who are either out or on pit lane right now. Brad Miller, Andrew Waring, Marc-Andre LaRouche, Richard Swindells, John Quinn, Ryan Miles, Byron Daly, Jake Potts, Juan Cofre, Sebastian Cofre, Matt Brewer, Matthew Miles, Brendan Victil, Justin Johnson, and Nick Horvath. That's the list of drivers. I almost lost my mind reading through those. Unfortunately for our favorite team in the chat, Monkey Butt Rides, I think Matthew Miles was absolutely at fault there.
That was actually a longer thing of you saying than the ad reads to start PRL.
That's entirely possible.
We started with 30. We're currently sitting at 16. Still on the lead lap as Nick Horvath sits there in the 16th position. So we started out strong, but I say we regroup, we redo this, and then we go full on regalia.
So I think that is all the business taken care of from before. We saw the fountain checkup. We saw what took Andrew Waring out. We saw the hairpin checkup where Ritters and a bunch of other drivers had to check up. I think we are finally back in real time, and we can focus on the survivors now.
We've only completed 5 laps, mind you.
Yeah, we have only completed 5 laps. There's still 26 of them to go. Anything can continue to happen. Cofre and Grams, I know, are going to be fighting for the entirety of this race. They're so equal on pace. Fournier and Molaire are going to fight for 3rd here. Kevin Sandiego right behind. He might be in the fight for the podium as well.
Yeah. Anybody who ever tells me that this street course is not one of the finest when it comes to racing and action in general, I almost want to slap them in the mouth because there's action all over this racetrack. You see all the drivers on pit lane right here. Like our amazing producer showing us, you have to count on 2 hands the amount of drivers who's on pit lane currently getting damage repaired. So if you're a motorsports enthusiast, if you want to watch racing, here's the place, because you have to be on your toes 24/7 around this road.
I can't count with more than 1 hand, Terry, so I don't even know what lap we're on right now.
Good point. That's a good point. Yeah, my wife normally doesn't count for me. I learned from Sesame Street, though, how to count, so.
I am a big fan of Sesame Street, though, so we'll break out some more Sesame Street references over the rest of the season. James Molaire, what's he right now? Is he a big bird in this battle? Is he a cookie monster? He's trying to go nom, and Alex Fournier? Something like that.
Well, what stunk was I learned how to count, and then the Army taught me how to count to 3, and that's all I knew how to do. It was a 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3. I never got past 3. I didn't know that 3 was that there was a number behind 3 for many years.
Molaire's having to check up a little bit out of the hairpin every time. That's where Alex Fournier is really a little bit better. that's kind of natural with the way Long Beach flows. You're never really going to get a better exit out of the hairpin than the driver ahead of you unless you're just really better on the throttle and they make a little bit of a mistake, but it's always frustrating. It's hard to pass here. You can definitely pass at Long Beach, but you've got to be so much faster than the driver ahead of you, and James Molaire, frustratingly, is kind of equal on pace with Fournier right now.
Well, yeah, I mean, you have to be faster in the straights. You have to get off exit of the corners better. You have to beat somebody in every single section of this racetrack in order to set the pass up. And you only have 2 or 3 opportunities to potentially put yourself in that position to go. But to answer Gearhead out there, his question was Sesame Street and what kind of education did I have? Well, I was homeschooled. Oh, Molaire!
James Molaire goes around and he gets the rear end of the one. Kevin Sandiego takes a bite out of him as well. I don't think there was anywhere for Sandiego to go there with Molaire broadside across the track. Takeshi Kita and Ozzy Milwane are going to drive through now. Kevin Sandiego is front wingless. That car is not going to stop in turn 9. Takeshi Kita up into P5 now and add 2 more to the used car lot.
Well, he might be drinking his sponsor here with the Patron on the side. That was a tough hit. Yeah, he's just going to bring it down pit lane. That stinks because I mean, he was having a good run. And now, I mean, our sneaky guy in Takeshi Kita, Mr. Consistency lap time, he's still consistent. He's there, missed it, but he's a long way back because all the checkups has happened.
Yeah, Olivier Legault is also down pit lane, as is Lucio Vargas. So that leaves us with 14 of the 30 drivers who started this race still on the lead lap. That'll become 12 once Molaire and Kevin Sandiego fall out. James Carter, I want to give a shout out to him because once him and James Doherty get by the front straight here, if James Carter survives to the end of this race, he might be in the fight for a top 10. Not even might. I'm going to say James Carter, if he finishes this race, will finish in the top 10.
I would enjoy it. I'm sure you'll enjoy it too. The fact that very selfless human being does a lot charity-wise.
Of course.
Across the board. I found out that we were in the same state. We're not far from each other. So
yeah, James doesn't sound like he's from Georgia, but he sure is.
Yeah, we're not far. We actually messaged each other, and we're right up the road. So if I go up the road and up 16 and take a little couple exits down the road, about 300, 400 miles away, I'll get up there near Mr. Carter.
And my calculations were actually wrong. James Carter's up to P11 now. So that's 11 drivers left on the lead lap, and there are still 22 laps left to go in this race. And that's why you never give up. That's why you don't park the car when you're out of this race, when you're on pit lane getting repairs, because there's going to be a lot of pieces to pick up, and you do score points for every position as long as you've finished up to 50% of the race. So if you're an Andrew Waring, if you're a Matt Brewer, you have every reason to get that car fixed and get back out on track because there's still points on the line.
Yeah, you should take a look here with James Carter. It's he just looks calm, cool, and collective. Like got the fan on him. We're twinsies. Obviously, I have hair. He doesn't. Got the fan doing that, and Ken Rod 69 with the $2.99 donation up there. Thanks for paying part of my and Joey Tebbin's salary for the PRL.
Ken Rod 69 is, of course, Kenny Rodriguez, who is one of the series organizers at the PRL. So he's kind of throwing $3 at his own face here, but we'll appreciate that in the old Race Spot YouTube fund.
Yeah, I mean, not as dumb as I am when it comes to money. But, you know, obviously not knowing what the annual salary across the board is for people like me. But hey, whatever. You know, you live and learn. We'll
Battle for the lead still closing down, Terry. I'm amazed that this is happening. We've been talking about everything else in this race. We've been talking about the wrecks. We've been talking about that there's only 11 cars left. Somehow we have a very close battle for the lead in this F3 series, and in a season where we've had a lot of dominant runs. We're actually going to have a fight for the win.
Well, I mean, once Coffray got around Graham's, I kind of thought the Coffray was going to drive off into the into the cloud cover. Sun's almost completely gone, but Graham's has done what he needed to do. He was actually really good right there in the hairpin. Kind of had a hard time getting back on the throttle. But I mean, it's just them two. They've got 21 laps to figure it out between them. There's nobody else in sight.
Gonna check to see how all this has impacted the Drivers' Championship. Michael Coffray, with 4 rounds to go, was 60 points behind the championship leader, Andrew Waring. We have to be a little bit wary about doing any of these calculations because this will be Andrew Waring's drop week. You get 1 drop week out of the 10 weeks, so Andrew's probably not too concerned about being out of this race right now and having some of his rivals up in the order because this will be dropped as his worst result. Alex Fournier has a 10-point race that will be dropped. Kevin Sandiego has a 15-point race that will be dropped, so they're still all in worse shape than him. But when the biggest drivers in the field get taken out, when an opportunity opens up to steal a win, even if it's not going to be championship defining for Coffray or for Fournier or even for Ozzie Milwane, they still want that win. You still want to get on the all-time spreadsheet.
Well, you have to take it. Like, you have to take any opportunity possible to win. You know, I go back and I think about some of the leagues that I've done. You have to capitalize on other people's misfortune, and I know that sounds awful, but if you see a guy, we'll take Waring in this instance. The moment he wrecks, if this is his drop week and he has a bad week next week, then you're like, okay, I'm glad I capitalized this week. Because if you're Coffray, you're Graham, you're one of these drivers, you're Ozzie Milwane, if you don't go out here and take advantage of it, next week if he has another bad run and you don't capitalize on that one either, you're just like, well, how did he beat me? Well, because you didn't step up to the plate when he was, 20th, or he was well on back in the running, and you're like, oh, well, okay, that makes sense. Unfortunately, that's kind of the name of the beast, is you're just kind of sitting here riding around, and Coffray starting to stretch his lead back out. He's almost to a second.
So in the team's championship right now, Evolve SimSport they basically have it locked up. They're 115 points ahead of second, but second place between Dark Horse Esports, Unit SimSports, Atomic Racing, and Evolve SimSport Apollo, it is not resolved, and there are quite a few interesting things to talk about there. Dark Horse Esports, of course, Kevin Sandiego got taken out. He's 17th. Brian DeFries is not here. Tyler Pierre Richards is. So they're only going to score points with Tyler Pierre Richards, most likely. Unit Sim Sports is going to have a good day with Alex Fournier. Atomic Racing, though, Takeshi Kita and Steven Ritters, both in the top 10. They've got 2 cars that can score points in the team's championship tonight.
Yeah, and Ken Rod actually said that Takeshi Kita, you just noticed he was up to 5th. It's a good run so far. I mean, the team standings across the board. It's not a fight in many other series, but this one, it's very close. And a lot of these drivers have to know that they're racing for more than just them. They're racing for the team in general. So I'm sure they practice a lot more than usual to build every driver in their stable up. But this is a very good run so far for a lot of these drivers that necessarily don't get airtime because, well, they normally get caught in somebody else's mess.
Yeah, Takeshi Kita doesn't want airtime because his best work is done in the darkness. It's done in the shadows. He's Mr. Sneaky. You can't look at him. He only does his best work when we're not looking at him.
Every time we put the camera on him, I swear, I feel like he has a bobble or he messes up somehow. I'm not sure if somebody's in here's going, hey, RaceSpot's looking at you, and they're talking good. And then he just he messes up out of nowhere. I think one week we spun him 3 times by putting the camera on him, and he drove through the field that many times. But let's not jinx our man Takeshi over here. He's doing a good job.
We have heard from another Atomic Racing driver, Robert Ridgway, the builder of the setups that are doing so well for these Atomic Racing cars. Doesn't race in this series anymore. He probably should, but he's busy on Thursday nights. He's got more important things to do than drive virtual race cars around Long Beach, unfortunately, so he just gets to check in the chat, and he's a 6-time winner in the F3 series and the PRL open wheel competition as a whole. Hamilton Akabuizi actually won his 6th race overall tonight in the F4 series. So Hamilton and Robert, you're part of the same club, the 6-time winners club.
Well, I mean, I'm sure, watching us is more important than racing. I mean, I'm not too sure if people realize that we're a dynamic duo. I mean, we actually get to call races many times, and hopefully next season we had the conversation last night that we might do all the races together, which would be super cool. Or most of them together, since we enjoy the PRL so much and have gotten to know these beautiful, beautiful people a whole lot more than normal. But the race lead has diminished. There's no battles on my watch.
We'll get some filler in here. But we actually don't need filler just yet, because now that we've reached halfway, James Carter has pulled a little bit of strategery. He's already down pit lane. He's going for his first pit stop. I don't think he has any damage. I think he just says, you know what? It's halfway in the race. Might as well get my stop out of the way.
Why not? Why not? Big fan of pulling some strategy. He's sitting here. He was on the cusp of a top 10. Nick Horvath's going to get around him there for that 11th spot, 1 lap down. He can't lose another position because the next one, Swindells is back another 2 laps down to him. So, Joey, I've got the stats. Tebben, thanks for the shout out. You're getting more nicknames than you should be accustomed to. I'm pretty sure, what was the other one? Something about a pretty mouth?
I don't know. I'll take all of them. I got the friggin' spreadsheet here. I do have to. Tyler Gore, who had a tough day in the F4 series a little bit earlier, he's the reason that spreadsheet with all those stats exists, because he has done such a good job of cataloging every PRL result ever that it was easy for me to just take on all that info, put it in my own spreadsheet, and that's why I get to spit fun numbers at you. James Doherty, last driver in the top 10. It's him versus James Carter in the battle of the Jameses. He's the next driver to bring it down. He says, you know what, if the other James thinks this is a good idea, maybe it is.
2 Jameses think alike. But, hey, you know, your guess last night of what I'm doing, why I have to miss a PRL show, and why I won't be able to be the super sub in 2 weeks for the F3 and F4 series. I actually get a real-life opportunity for the first time. I'm going to be at Florence for the Florence 400 to do some podcast stuff out there, which should be super cool. Who would have thought?
Terry, I have to interrupt you for a second. James Carter, with his pit stop, has passed James Doherty, who had an extended pit stop. James Carter, once Nick Horvath comes back down, will be in the top 10, I think.
He had a 31.5 second pit stop there. He might have had damage. He had to have had, because only thing we had was we had a 5.5? Yeah, 5.5 for James Carter. Maybe he miscalculated the fuel. Maybe he put too much in it, or he had damage, because that was a long pit stop.
He might have forgotten to uncheck tires. Anything is possible, but either way, James Carter now has some pressure on him, because he's got to hang on to the top 10 and not get into the wall here. Everybody does still have to pit ahead of James Carter, but James, based on where he was on track, will still be 10th most likely. There is another battle on track that isn't for the lead. Joey Haynes and Tyler Pierre Richards. Tyler Pierre Richards holding up the fort for Dark Horse Esports now that Kevin San Diego is a little bit further down the order, running a little bit wider down Shoreline Drive, not necessarily following Joey Haynes in the draft, but you gotta fight for P6.
Yeah, and I wouldn't sleep on this because you could still see a couple drivers in here. I mean, you got Richards right there. You got this Steven, Ritters. You got Campbell and all them kind of close-ish together. Maybe once these pit stops start to happen and we start to see drivers come down, if they don't uncheck or they do something wrong and mess up a pit stop, we could see them kind of tighten back up together. We could potentially be talking about James Carter going up a little higher in this running order, especially with the close-knit that we've got right here for 6th.
I mean, if it was me, I'd be watching my relative. I'd be looking at any battles, just going, you know, please take each other out, take each other out, take each other out. But I have to be unbiased when I'm here in the booth, and I can't root for more calamity. We've had enough calamity tonight with 13 laps left to go. Tyler Pierre Richards, that is a better exit out of the hairpin this time than Joey Haynes. That was far, far better. If he can stick with him in the draft, he might have a shot into turn 1.
Yeah, and your other nickname was Joey. I can't believe his voice is not Butter Tebben. But that was a really good hairpin exit. As you see, Richards starting to get a really good toe off of Joey Haynes. We'll see if he can set him up for the 3rd sector of this track. They go to the fountain here. He's going to be right on the back bumper, trying to work his way past, maybe trying to spook him to go a little wide here. But he's not going to do it here.
Pierre Richards is absolutely hounding Joey Haynes. They both hop over the curb a little bit there. You do have to keep it to the outside of that curb. You can't do it Max Chilton style and cut to the inside. You will get a slowdown for that, but both drivers doing well to stay on the right side of things here. Down under braking into turn 8. This is Tyler Pierre Richards' best chance. An incredible exit for Tyler Pierre Richards this time. He's definitely going to be able to send it to the inside of turn 9 if he wants to. Does he want to? Yes, he does. As we reach the stop sign, they get on the brakes. Tyler Pierre Richards up into P6.
Oh, that was a close cutoff right there. I thought he was going to go for the outside there with Haynes trying to move over there. As you see, Coffray, he's going to come down pit lane. So early portion for the leader to come in at lap 19. It was a 5.1 second pit stop, so very good stop so far. We'll see if Richards and Haynes is going to get around Coffray here. I don't think they will. They did actually, but he'll be right behind him. So you'll see that flip-flop happen again once these two come down.
I am wondering if Nick Horvath can actually make it to the end of this race, because he pitted 12 laps ago to get a little bit of damage fixed. And I'm not sure if you can go 26 laps on one tank. I don't think that's going to be possible. I think Robert Ridgway actually said in the chat, says 28. No, he just gave the amount of fuel in the car. So I don't think you can go 26 laps on one tank. So I think Horvath will likely have to pit, which is unfortunate because that'll take him out of the top 10.
Yeah, but if he stays in a relatively decent area, he won't lose another lap. And I mean, the worst he potentially could finish if he goes, if he stays one lap down is 12th. So I would take 12th here with the disastrous start that you've had so far if you're Nick Horvath. But if he goes 2 laps down, the worst he can finish is 13th. So, take it or leave it. I think that's a pretty respectable finish here. Granted, with the calamity we've seen so far, I would take it. I would take it regardless.
I've had that song stuck in your head since you sang it earlier. I've just been going, I can't do my best vocoder. I'm just gonna go, California knows how to party.
You're welcome. It's a good song. I'm kind of caught in a crosshair because obviously I love the PRL. Well, I also love sports. And when I go on here, I had a nice little decent little point spread battle between the Texans and the Eagles. How is the 5-1 Houston Texans only 7 points off the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Astros are up 1 on the Phillies? It's a weird day in sports.
Well, Joey Haynes has been doing his own thing while you've been riding on board with him. I've been trying to look to see what James Carter's previous best result is in the F3 series. I'm not counting results in seasons where it was a pro-am split. I'm not going to count those. I'm going to count overall finishes. And there's a lot of stats to dig through, but if I'm not mistaken, this could potentially be his first top 10 if he does get it at the end of the race. I don't want to jinx him.
Yeah, you're a jinx. For the people that are watching, I don't know if every time I'm on one of these, like one of the F3 or F4s, you jinx at least 1 or 2 drivers, either in both races or just one. Not too sure if we're not going to start a petition to potentially just keep you from naming people's names on these shows. Maybe we just stick you to car numbers.
I don't think this would be James's first top 10. I have just found that in season 1 of 2022, James Carter finished 10th at VIR in the F3s, and he also finished 10th at the Red Bull Ring in season 3 of 2021. I was in that race. I finished 5th. I should remember my own teammate finishing in the top 10, so this would be James Carter's 3rd top 10, I believe, unless I'm missing another one. But maybe he'll make it P9. Maybe he'll better his own best result.
Good, and you're welcome, Ridgeway Racing, for the Houston update there. I have no dog in that race. I'm a Braves fan. We kind of stunk this year. Didn't do anything good. But my Vols are doing great, so I'm pretty happy across the board. And my Titans are going to get blown out on Sunday to the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm all for that as well. And Monkey Butt said that you're a good commentator.
Well, I got to ignore those praises, Terry, because this is critical right now. Michael Coffray had like a 1-second lead over Cody Grams when he came into the pits, but he's now reached traffic. His decision to make an early stop is really backfiring because he is getting absolutely held up by Joey Haynes and Tyler Pierre Richards. I think Cody Grams knows that. He's elected to come down pit lane now, and that might be what flips this battle for the lead.
Well, I see. I'm not too sure if it is going to flip the battle for the lead because you also have to put into account that Coffray is still fast. Kofre still has some speed behind him. He was not far off there across the board when you looked at it. And we're going to see Grams is on pit lane for a substantial amount of time. He's sitting at 10 seconds now. So he forgot something. So now you look at what Kofre is going to get to do here. He's jumping in front of him right here. He's going to pass him. There he goes.
Cody Grams has indeed forgotten something. I don't know what that something is.
That's a speeding penalty.
It's a speeding penalty. It gets even worse.
Yeah, he's about to touch 40 seconds. That has to be a penalty. That's a massive penalty.
Cody Grams has not only lost this race, he's going to fall off the podium entirely with that speeding penalty. We're still waiting. 43, 44. He finally leaves.
Yep. That's a 40-second hold. It had to be, because it was a 5-second pit stop and a 40-second hold. 45 was the magic number to tell me that that's what it was.
He comes out behind Steven Ritters. That means that Cody Grams is going to be fighting for 8th or 9th.
Yeah, he's going to
Takeshi Kita might be on the podium.
Well, potentially. Let's do potentially there, because Takeshi Kita is going to come in and pit right here with Ozzy Milwane and Fournier. This is his opportunity. If Takeshi Kita gets doesn't do what he did last week and forget to uncheck something, we might be talking about him in the top 2.
And I think Nick Horvath might actually be able to rob James Carter of this top 10, because even if he does have to come down pit lane again to get a little splash of fuel, he's currently 34 seconds ahead of James on track right now. So that might be a big enough gap that Nick Horvath can come in for a splash of fuel and still hang on for a top 10. So I think James's hopes are that there's a little bit more calamity up front. Somebody else decides to crash, and that would be what solves everything for him. But the pit cycle is about to conclude. Joey Haynes and Rob Campbell get out straightforwardly. No issues for them. Kofre, Fournier, Milwane becomes the podium. Takeshi Kita comes out in 4th, and now we wait for the blend. Haynes comes out in 5th. Rob Campbell still exiting. Tyler Pierre Richards jumps him. Steven Ritters jumps him. I think Cody Grams might jump Campbell as well.
Yeah, but that was a really fast time there for Campbell. 4.1 second pit stop. The end box time was good. Not too sure what his actual on pit road time would have been. Maybe he was a little under the speed limit, kind of put him back a tad bit more. But what a blow for Grams there. I mean, he had this race signed, sealed, delivered if he didn't make a mistake. And mistake is that he made definitely took him out of contention big time.
If it's any solace for him, he's not fighting for the overall championship because he is on a part-time basis this season, so it's not like that's going to hurt him championship-wise, but that's still going to hurt a lot in the moment. He had the perfect opportunity with Kofre getting held up in traffic, and he sped. That's why you got to practice your pit entries at all of these places, and even if you do, it's easy to get a little bit greedy. Even the best, like Cody Grams, do it sometimes.
Well, you also have to think that maybe he's pushing for every little bit possible, right? Because you think about this, he had a one second lead going on to pit lane. Well, he also knew that he had to do a little bit more because you saw Kofre was caught in traffic a little bit. Kind of needed to pick up the pace, but not necessarily pick it up a ton. And unfortunately, when you come on a pit lane, you're thinking in your head, okay, well, I put all the burner laps I could put down on the racetrack. Well, now I have to execute pit lane perfect. And just a mile per hour, and I think it's time over distance is what they recognize here on iRacing. So you go on pit lane, you get dinged at 2 or 3 times, done. And Horvath's on pit lane too.
Horvath is in. He's going to have to take that splash of fuel to be able to make it to the end. James Carter is kind of begging right now that he hopes that Nick Horvath also got a speeding penalty so he can inherit a top 10 here. But we'll wait for Nick Horvath on pit lane. He brings it in, should only be in the box for 4 or 5 seconds. Yes, he is. Horvath's got enough fuel to the end of the race. He should be safe, but it is a long pit lane here, and this is going to be a very long crawl for Horvath. Actually, it isn't. He has a fairly early pit stall. And we just wait for James Carter to round out of the hairpin now.
Yeah, we'll see where they kind of blend each other out. Horvath's going to, I think he's safe. He's pretty safe across the board. He's clear. He'll sit there in that 10th place position, and what a rebound. I mean, we saw that early. I went a lap down, got put in a box, and he's still managing a top 10 position, top 10 running order here at the moment. But we look back here at Steven Ritters trying to work his way past, Tyler Pierre Richards.
Tyler Pierre Richards.
Tyler Pierre Richards. So Ritters and Richards trying to do their best impersonation of each other. And then they still got Joey Haynes. He's right there in the running too to maybe jump up there in the top 5.
It's like these guys are trying to get me to stumble over my words. Ritters, Richards, Ritters, Richards, Richards. It's hard to say those all in succession, but it should be an exciting battle. Steven Ritters has found a little bit more pace later on in this run. He's definitely quicker than Tyler Pierre Richards right now, but as always, it's difficult to make a pass at Long Beach, and who's that on the scene behind him? It's that all-black car of Cody Grams, who's going to make it even more difficult of a battle.
Well, I'm a lap time guy. It's my favorite part of any race that I do. He's picking them up, putting them down. It's all about where he's going to catch them. You don't want to catch him off that hairpin right there. You don't want to catch him in the fountain section either. Those are 2 really crucial spots that you have to make sure that you're kind of clear, steer clear of everything. But he's much faster. He's about 7/10 faster than all of these drivers in front of him. He's got the pace. Now can he rebound? Can he make something out of a bad situation? I mean, it's not the end of the world, but it stinks. He's not going to finish 8th. I think he's going to maybe get to 5th.
Steven Ritter still hounding Tyler Pierre Richards. He hasn't been able to bring the gap down at all, though. Ever since he's got to the back of him, they've kind of completely equalized. In every sector of the track, Steven rings the neck of the car a little bit there in turn 6. And down into turn 8, very close to the wall is the 301. Tyler Pierre Richards is really playing with the limits here. He's not comfortable in P6. He still really needs to push here with 3 more laps to go.
Well, I don't think anybody's content when they sit here. I mean, you think of the laps. This race has flown by, minus all of our calamity that we've seen. You see a lot of lockup right here. I believe that was Joey Haynes that locked it up, put a little smoke on the racetrack. But none of these drivers just want to be content here. They know they have Cody Grams behind them, who's much faster than they are. These laps are going by faster and faster. I mean, it only takes a minute to get around here. So you have to go, and you have to use every inch of this racetrack. There's not a lot of inches, but you have to use every bit of it.
Cody Grams has completely closed that gap down to Steven Ritters. That's going to be, I think, an attempt at a move on this lap for Cody Grams. If you're 0.8 of a second faster than the driver ahead of you, you're definitely going to get past at Long Beach. You just got to figure out when you're going to do it. I have to imagine turn 9 will be his best chance, but let's see. Those highlighter yellow wheels on the Cody Grams mobile always make him stand out a little bit. I love that. I'm always supporting that. I had highlighter yellow wheels on my car too. Not a good enough exit out of turn 8, though, to be able to dive it to the inside of Steven Ritters in turn 9. Grams is running out of time, though. When we get the white flag this time, or the white flag next time by, Cody Grams doesn't have many corners to go.
He's going to have to set this up going into 1, and I know that stinks, but he's not going to be able to get him out of this hairpin. You're going to see the separation between Ritters and Graham White at the R's. You're going to have to see here, can he make the pass into 1? It didn't look like he will here. His best chance, once again, is he's going to have to wait coming out of 8 into 9 to potentially set this up, unless he wants to do it in a tight corner, which I don't want to do that either.
Gap is almost non-existent between Grams and Ritters now. Through the fountain section, there was almost a bumper put to the back of Steven Ritters. There's so little distance between these two. That's a great exit by Cody Grams there. That is a great exit. Coming into turn 6 here, is he going to dive into the inside? He thought about it for a millisecond, thought better of it though. Around the outside, almost in turn 7, that door closes. Cody Grams is clearly faster right now, but he needs to find a way to exit. Steven Ritters hits the wall. He takes Cody Grams with him, and that's 2 more drivers eliminated out of the top 10. Under pressure, Ritters takes a little bit too much speed into turn 8, and those 2 cars are locked together.
Holy mess.
Grams gets going, though. Grams is okay. I don't think Steven is.
What in the hell just happened?
He overcooked it under pressure.
That was the wildest thing I've seen coming out of the corner. All race long, I know we've seen some wild stuff, but look at this. He just popped the wall and then bam.
And you know what? In the atomic racing world, we talk about the laws of physics. We talk about how every reaction has an equal and opposite reaction. Steven Ritters has been eliminated from the race. James Carter has inherited the top 10. Cody Grams is in the pits as well. James Carter is going to advance into his best result ever in P9.
Well, what just happened to the leader?
What did just happen to the leader? Michael Coffray is hemorrhaging time. Terry's exactly right. It's all kicking off here with about 2 laps to go. Coffray's still okay, but Fournier's trying to chase him down.
It's like he locked it somewhere. He's slow.
Does he have damage?
What just happened? We looked up for a second. We were at like 9-second gap. It's 3 and dropping. I mean, he's hemorrhaging time like a person with a bite out of his jugular.
I think he might just be slow rolling it coming to the finish here because he has picked up the pace now. So I think there's no cause for alarm. Maybe he had a little bit of low fuel. He is lifting under braking. He is absolutely lifting into the braking zone. So this might actually be low fuel for Michael Coffray. He came in 5 laps earlier than Alex Fournier did. Coffray might be playing with low fuel here. This race is not over. I'm going to unmute my stream here so I can listen. Michael Coffray might be out of fuel. Fournier is closing that gap down the back straight for the final time. Michael Coffray might be completely out of luck here. He is completely out of fuel. Alex Fournier around the outside. Who could have predicted that on the final lap at the final corner? Alex Fournier for Unit Sim Sports rounds the hairpin.
Oh, he's out completely
out of fuel. He's going to lose second. He might lose third to Takeshi Kita, and Alex Fournier wins at Long Beach. And Kita gets the podium. Kita gets second. I think Milwin was out of fuel at the line too.
Kita got second, and hold on, because Coffray's barely rolling. Can he touch the line before somebody else catches him? Here comes Joey Haynes.
Milwayne did keep second. Kita kept third. Coffray's not going to get fourth. Here comes Joey Haynes. He's going to get fifth. Tyler Pierre Richards might get sixth too.
Wait, he's way away from the line, so
he can coast it. He's going to make it. But Tyler Pierre Richards gets P5. Michael Coffray. Is that an optical illusion on my screen? Does he have damage to the right rear of that car? I think that's an illusion.
What in the hell?
Where did he get that damage from? Why is he going clunka now?
Somebody got into him when he ran out of fuel. I think he made contact with somebody off the final corner. It might have been Fournier that tagged him, but
I think that's true.
What
in the heck?
What a race! Like this was all but over. We thought with 2 to go.
Here it is.
Oh my gosh! He caught something. Somebody caught him.
Let's see who it was. There goes Ozzy Milwayne. Milwayne doesn't hit him. What in the heck in the world? I think that must have just been an illusion. That must have been an illusion. There's no way he just randomly got damage.
This is the greatest. This is the greatest PRL race I think I've ever called.
Put that one in the highlight. That's going to be in the highlight books to the end of the season, I can guarantee.
What? This was crazy.
Alex frickin' Fournier wins at Long Beach. Ozzy Milwayne is P2, and Takeshi Kita finishes third. Joey Haynes finished fourth. Tyler Pierre Richards ends up in fifth. Michael Coffray runs out of fuel and finishes sixth after a dominant lead. Rob Campbell, I don't think we mentioned him once all night, but that's kind of the optimal thing at Long Beach. He stayed out of trouble and he got seventh for it. Nick Horvath finished eighth. James Carter gets his best result in PRL history as far as I know and finishes ninth. James Doherty gets the last spot in the top 10 as well. Cody Grams could have won this race, but he got a speeding penalty and went 2 laps down. Steven Ritters took Cody Grams out a little bit later, getting into the wall. That's 11th and 12th for them. Matt Brewer and Richard Swindells were 2 laps down. John Quinn, the mighty Quinn, finished 7 laps down and still finished 15th somehow. Brad Miller, P16. Kevin Sandiego, Lucio Vargas, James Moller, and Olivier Legault bring us down to P20. I don't know where the used car lot starts and the race results begin. Justin Johnson was P21. Matthew Miles, Jake Potts, Brandon Victil, Ryan Miles, Sebastian Coffray, Juan Coffray, Byron Daly, Marc-Andre LaRouche, and Andrew Waring, your championship leader, finished dead last tonight, but this will be a drop week for him. Oh my goodness, Terry, I need to take a breath, but I can't because Alex Fournier.
Hello, sir.
How did you win that race? What in the world happened?
Oh, I'm not sure. I think Michael ran out of fuel. I saw like the last lap he was like fuel saving a lot, and he was lifting in the straight. So I just kept pushing to try to close the gap. And last corner, I think.
Yeah, literally last corner pass, and you got your first win of the season.
Yeah, I feel good.
I can only imagine it feels good, but this was a difficult race. I think 8 drivers finished on the lead lap. What do you think makes Long Beach so difficult in these cars? Because this was a very difficult night for a lot of drivers.
The walls are closed and the car is sliding everywhere, so it's so easy to bin it.
3 more weeks to go in the season. They'll hopefully be a little bit calmer than Long Beach. We can only hope. But what are your hopes for the rest of the season? You think you can maybe pull up a late challenge and catch up to Waring?
Oh, Andrew is so fast. I will try my best, but he is a great driver.
All right, congrats again on the win tonight. And your teammate Vincent Trepanier was in the chat tonight cheering you on. So give a shout out to all those Unit Sim Sports guys before we kick you out.
Cheers, Vince, and cheers, Kev. Thanks, guys.
Alex Fournier, your victor tonight in the most ridiculous of circumstances. Terry, you're going to talk to a driver who's on the podium for the first time this season, I think. Ozzy Milwane's here.
Ozzy Milwane, what a wild, eventful, all of the wonderful things I could say about this race. You finished second when we thought you were going to finish third.
Yeah, that was a little surprising coming to the line there. Got a little lucky, as I did the whole race, to be honest. But it's to be expected to have a lot of crashes here, so I stayed alert and tried to avoid all the wrecks, and it paid off.
All right, would you rather be lucky than good?
A little bit of both. You got to be lucky.
Well, I mean, you were very good too, obviously, because you ran up in the top 5 for pretty much majority of this evening. But Joey, the stat guy, is this your first podium of this season?
It's his first podium of the season, I think. I don't know if it's his first podium ever, but definitely the
first podium of the season.
No, I podiumed at Sonoma.
Way to go, Tevin.
Well, I hate Sonoma. I've taken that out of my mind.
He set me up for failure on my next question. But podium finish here next week at Interlagos. How do you roll this momentum into a track with a lot more room than this?
I like that track. I mean, we take it week by week. Usually get back on the sim Wednesday night, start testing, do the auto official, and attack it on Thursday.
I'm a fan of that mentality. Think all those people at Evolve SimSport.
What's that? Sorry?
I said think all those people at Evolve SimSport.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're all great.
I like it. That's Ozzy Milwane. P2 here this afternoon, Joey T.
Indeed, that was Ozzy Milwane, and we're about to do something very special here, Terry. Takeshi Kita.
Yay!
This is the first time I think I've ever interviewed you, Takeshi, not as a teammate.
Hey, how are you guys?
I mean, I guarantee you I'm not as good as you. You just got a friggin' podium at Long Beach.
Yeah, I think it's my first podium on a pro series here in the PRL. So I'm stoked. I'm very happy.
Were you looking forward to this race? Because we know you're Mr. Sneaky. You're not a guy who makes a lot of mistakes. A lot of other drivers in the field did make mistakes, and you picked up a podium because of it. Were you thinking, I'm going to be consistent tonight and that's going to work for me?
Well, the strategy was to get lucky and not be involved on a crash. And I was lucky with that. I saw a lot of crashing around me, but I don't know. I just was lucky.
And this is going to be pretty good for Atomic Racing in the Teams Championship. You guys were pretty close to P2. You got P3. James got P9. Do you guys think you're going to fight for P2 in the championship?
Hopefully.
I mean, I'm hoping so too. So congratulations on the podium tonight. This is one of the most insane PRL races ever, and it's good to talk to you again.
So, guys, thank you for having me.
That was Takeshi Kita, P3 Terry, and you are in luck because guess who's here? P9, best result in the PRL ever. If that's wrong, correct me, James. But you're going to talk to Terry now.
Oh, hey, Terry.
What's up, man? I'm back.
It's good to have you back.
This is my third F3, F4, and you keep getting better and better. P9, you missed the carnage. Yeah,
well-
you missed all the crap.
I had a little bit of my own carnage going on at the back there. That was just to try to stay consistent, look after the rear tires. I was essentially racing James Doherty for most of that race, and I think what I was able to pass him really was to pit early before the leaders came to lap me. And I gained a lot of time then because he gave up time to get lapped by the leaders, and I was in the pits, and that put me in front of him. And from then on, I was just trying to manage the gap.
Well, he also made a mistake on pit road. He was on there for like forever, it seemed like. But you had a really good gap there at the end. Nick Horvath ended up, coming down pit lane. He was on there for like 4.5 to yours. What was your strategy in there with Horvath? Was you thinking potentially the overtake of him to go to 8th, or you were behind him?
I wasn't even thinking about Nick. I was looking at the relative lap times, and he was lapping way faster than me. I was literally just focused on James behind me. But yeah, I was just looking after the tires and keeping it out of the wall.
All right. Well, I guess we'll hold the tradition since I get to watch these now. What's the shirt here this afternoon?
Oh, this is Camp Twin Lakes again. I forgot to go change my shirt for you guys. Sorry about that. I wasn't expecting to be here. But yeah, I'd like to thank my wife, Michelle. She's my greatest fan. She's downstairs listening right now. So, hey, Michelle.
Well, hi, Michelle.
I thought your greatest fan was off to the right there.
Yeah, that's my second greatest fan.
Well, hi to James Carter's wife, Michelle. It's good to have somebody out there watching. My wife tuned in too here tonight. So I like that we're sort of kind of neighbors in the same state, and eventually we'll get together. We'll plan a trip when I come up north to the Atlanta Motor Speedway to swing by and say what's up.
Sure.
Might have to go to the race together. Are you a NASCAR fan?
I could be tempted.
I like it. We'll have to get James Carter to a NASCAR event, and we'll show you where the boys and girls go down on the farm. Good Tim McGraw reference. All right, James. Congrats on the best finish in PRL.
Thank you.
Now make it P8 next week. It's not good enough.
Thanks, Joey.
James Carter, P9. Of course, that is good enough. Always happy to see James Carter getting some good runs going. Terry, he survived the carnage. Of course, he did. We've got one more driver to talk to. Who did he survive the carnage? Did he not? I'm not so sure. But Bop, Hoot, and Boobay, you get the idea. Where in the world is Kevin Sandiego? Kevin, you finished P17, but you were 13 laps down. Is this the highest you've ever finished while simultaneously being 13 laps down?
Yeah, it wasn't the night I was hoping for. I was happy for my teammate, though. He made it up to P5, so that was a pretty good showing. Happy to see that.
Yeah, we were following all those team battles. You guys with Dark Horse Esports, you had one bullet left. Atomic Racing had a couple of guys still alive. That battle for P2 in the Teams Championship after tonight is going to get even crazier than it already was.
Yeah, unfortunately, we fell a little bit behind. Next week, we'll come back. I was hoping for a podium tonight, but it didn't work out. I caught up with James Miller. He was on the outside of T8 and blind corner. Kind of just ran into him. I had no place to go. He was dead stopped, unfortunately. So next time we'll get it. Usually I do well here, but we'll try it again next week.
Yeah, this week it seemed like everybody was kind of at the behest of the Long Beach gods, but good job on sticking in there. We're always looking to shout out drivers who are still out there picking up every point they can, and we wish you better luck next week.
Absolutely. Have a good night. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, sir.
Kevin Sandiego, what was he? P17, I remember now. But yeah, next week we keep talking about it, Terry. Where in the world is Kevin Sandiego going to be? Well, he's going to be down in Brazil, in Interlagos, at the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache in Sao Paulo. It's my best Brazilian pronunciations for you. Same time, same place.
I'm not too sure how good your Brazil speak is, but this is a wonderful track. You see very, very long, very sweeping, fast track. I really, really hope that the race is just as good as it was here at Long Beach, because this was phenomenal.
It's going to be hard to replicate. It is certainly going to be hard to replicate, but we hope you all have enjoyed the action tonight. We know we certainly have. Hamilton Akabueezy does Hamilton Akabueezy things. It dominates at Silverstone. Alex Fournier picks up a win I'm sure even he wasn't expecting at Long Beach. Terry and I are all out of words to say, but I will tell you that this is not the only PRL night of the week. There are 5 nights of PRL action every single week. There is Sunday night Cup Series racing. There's Monday night MX5 and GT4 racing. There's Tuesday night GT3 racing. There's Wednesday night NASCAR truck racing. And of course, there is Thursday night open wheel racing. We hope you'll join us next time on Sunday night for the Cup Series. We hope you'll join us next week for this series, and we hope you'll join us whenever you can on RaceSpotTV. But for now, I've been Joey Tebbin. Terry Radford has been Terry Radford. Our producer has been Hugo Luis. From us and everybody at the Precision Racing League, we thank you for watching. Until next time, so long.